Quick, we got to go home right now. I'm not seeing one crash on any interstate in Nashville. All you've got's the usual slowdown, brake tapping eastbound 24 down to Harding Place. Little heavy going eastbound 440 over to 24 from 65, and then northbound 65 up to the 24 split north of town. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, kids. It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show underway for another day. Happy to have you with us on this Thursday, February the 6th, 2025. Good to be with you, and thank you for being with us. Whatever time you're able to give us, we're certainly appreciative, whether you're listening on the radio, 99.7 FM. Perhaps you're on our app. Take us wherever you go by downloading our app, or really you can find us anywhere. You just type in Super Talk 99.7 WTN to your listening app of your choosing, and pop up, we will. And if we don't, let us know, and we'll try to get there. And then, of course, there's Super Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. You can subscribe to us, and you'll do us that favor. 744, that is our episode number, 744. It's locked for Trump Day, 341, and I'm happy to be here. Hope that we make it enjoyable over the course of the next 4 hours. I know two people that are going to do their part. One is Ken Weaver. He's back in the newsroom. He gathers headlines for a living and delivers them twice an hour, and when it breaks, and we appreciate him for doing his due diligence in that regard.
Good afternoon, boys. Yes.
So you told us all to go home. That's what I heard.
Yeah, right now, man. I do not see a crash on either of the three interstates running through Nashville.
How about that?
Oh, it's not going to last long.
No, well, no, that's true. Well, that's good news. I mean, that's good news, especially considering some of the weather that's coming in. I'm going to tell everybody about that in just a moment. There's also Chris Weber. He's behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speakers sounds as good as humanly possible. Hello, Mr. Weber.
Good afternoon.
How's it going with you?
Pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then there's that.
I'm on 1 cup of coffee today
Really?
instead of my normal 2. So we'll see how it goes.
2 cups of coffee?
Yeah, I usually do 2 in the morning.
That's it?
That's it, yeah.
Man, I wish I was you.
I'm a
There's
light
a lot of
caffeine
reasons that I wish I was you, Weber. And that's one of them.
guy. Yeah, that's understandable.
Ken Weaver, would you dare to admit
How
how
many?
much coffee you drink?
Well, I just finished my 4th cup of the day.
That's not bad, actually.
No, because I've had more, definitely. But a moment ago, I noticed I felt a little dizzy. And I thought, well, you better slow down on the caffeine there, Ken, and drink more water.
Joe has written in on the Super Text line, which you're invited to do, 615-737-9986, and says, I'll tell you what, if that Ken was a cottage, I'd rent him for the summer. Now, I'm not.
I don't know what that means.
I don't really. What? I don't really know what to make of that.
As long as it's next to a body of water with all the catfish, bass, and crappie I can catch.
Well, I mean, sure. I mean, but he's saying if you were a cottage,
Yeah.
he would rent you.
You.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're the cottage.
You're the cottage. You don't get to fish, Ken.
Oh.
You get slept in and pooped in and, everything else you do in a cottage. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's Joe's comment. It's not mine, but I think he meant it as a compliment.
Could
Ken.
it be a rather primitive cottage where the outhouse is detached?
Well, it is you.
Yeah.
That would fit, right?
That's it. Ken, when I first met you,
Yeah.
3 years ago,
3 years.
I said to myself, that Ken Weaver looks like the type of man that likes to poop outdoors. That's what I said. I think I was right.
You'd be wrong, dude. I do not like it.
I don't mean to start the show this way, but now I have to tell the story because it pops in my head and I get squirreled.
Uh-oh.
So my grandfather and I, everybody loves my pa stories.
Oh, yeah.
My pa and I, he would take me all manner of hunting. And I mean, we would go, bird hunting, duck and dove, and turkey hunting, and but deer hunting was the big thing in the fall. And he would take me, and this is when I'm like 12 or 13 years old. He would take me to a stand, and he would put me up in a tree stand, and then he would do a lot of walking through the woods, and he was very, very quiet, so he's very adept at it. Pa had two types of camouflage. He had two sets of camouflage, winter and summer. That was it. And
Okay.
I mean, he was not, we were not fancy hunters like you find in modern times.
Yeah.
And so he had it was like 20 degrees outside. And he had his long johns on and his coveralls, his camouflage coveralls. And that was it.
Yeah. All right.
So, and his orange, obviously you're wearing the orange vest for hunter safety. And so he gets me, before dawn, he gets me set up, and he said, I'll see you in a few hours, and, I'll hear you if you see anything, shoot anything, and then off he goes. Well, earlier than normal, I hear a commotion behind me, and it's my grandfather coming through the woods, and all he has on is his long johns. And he said, let's go. Let's get in the Jeep. And he has his long johns on and his orange vest all over his long johns and his boots.
Are they
his gun.
the white long johns?
Oh yeah, bright white long johns.
I'm with you.
And let's go. Let's get in the Jeep. And it was one of those where I could tell not to say anything.
Don't ask questions.
Do not ask any questions. Yeah. Otherwise, you become the target.
Yeah.
And so I can't say it the way he said it to me, but we walked to the Jeep in silence. And I'm like, I'm dying to figure out what the deal is.
Oh, yeah.
And we get into the Jeep, and he gets the Jeep cranked up, and he gets the heat going in the Jeep, and there's a pause. And he said, I crapped in my coveralls. Only he didn't say crapped. And I said, sir? He said, I crapped in my coveralls. He said, the damn thing's a camouflage. I didn't see him. he had to go to the valley. Anyway, y'all get it. Y'all get it.
We can piece it together.
Anyway, from there, the show's going to go downhill. I assure you. Okay.
Right in the toilet.
I mean, man, oh, man. That's exactly right. Plop, plop. Listen, the latest on the Donald Trump Doge thing, it is absolutely fabulous. The manner in which the deep state is attempting to fight back against Donald Trump. So a federal judge has now pushed back against the deadline for President Donald J. Trump's buyout offer to federal workers that was to happen today. Now, we've been talking about it all throughout the day, from Dan Mandis and Nashville's Morning News, Chris Hand, Chad Benson, Matt Murphy, myself. We've been discussing this with you. If you're not familiar with it, Donald Trump, through the DOGE office, the Department of Government Efficiency, run by Elon Musk at the request of Donald Trump. All of this is being filtered through the office of the presidency of the United States of America. So all of these dunderheads on the liberal side of things, acting as if this is somehow extracurricular to the Constitution, they're either morons or they think you are. Those are the only options. Because if you just read the Constitution of the United States of America, if you simply read Article 2, you will clearly see that the office of the presidency is the CEO of the executive branch of government. And the last time I checked, all of these layoffs, or not layoffs, pardon me, all of these buyouts are through the executive branch of government. And Elon Musk is working as an agent of Donald Trump. Elon Musk is not an elected official. No, Donald Trump is. That's the whole point. When all of these leftists that come out of the woodwork, whether it's, Elizabeth Warren, AOC, they're all skulls of mud. They got pudding for brains. And they try to convince you that somehow this is working against the construct of the Constitution. It's right there in the Constitution. So let me ask you this. All of these talking heads that seem to be so worried about Elon Musk, all of these talking heads that are so worried about the fragility of our democracy, and Elon Musk is not an elected official. Elon Musk is no president of the United States. I have a sincere question for you. If you have any concern, and I understand that we have some some people who are left of center who listen to the show, and I know that I'm gruff and abrasive, and you probably would never think to give me a telephone call so that we could have a conversation about these things. I would invite it at 615-737-9986. But I have a sincere question for any of you that have concerns about Elon Musk in his role in what he's doing for Donald Trump, for the United States of America. Who was president for the last year? And don't tell me Joe Biden, because you know it's not true. You damn well know it's not true. Pardon me. I try not to curse, especially when there might be kids in the car, but I did.
Fiddlesticks.
Fiddle farts. Who made the decision? Who was president for the last year? All of these media outlets, the hashtag never CNNs of the world. I mean, come on. Don't watch CNN. It's a garbage network full of garbage people spewing garbage. And just because they essentially fired Jim Acosta doesn't make it any different. Whether it's CBS, Lion CBS, or ABC or NBC, any of these networks, where was their curiosity about? Where was the curiosity about who was running the country over the last 4 years? Because let me tell you something. They knew. They knew. Every single one of them in Washington, D.C. knew. We knew. We're in Nashville, Tennessee. We're in Middle Tennessee. We can see with our own eyeballs. We see when the guy dodders out to the podium and can barely speak or keep his teeth in his mouth. We know. We saw it. We got brains that God gave us. We knew that this guy wasn't calling the shots. And there was no curiosity about who was president then. Now you have a guy that is delegating responsibility. You got a guy that's doing more in the first 2 weeks of his presidency than the doddering old man did in 4 years, or whoever was calling the shots. And I have the same media that refused to ask basic questions about his mental ability to run the United States of America and, by extension, the globe. The leader of the free world had no mental ability to make decisions, and the mainstream media wouldn't ask any of these questions. And now you're concerned about the office of the presidency? Spare me. I'm in no mood for it. Spare me. So when you can tell me who was making the decisions over the last year or 2 years or 4 years, whether it was Barack Obama or whomever, Valerie Jarrett, Susan Rice, Kamala, I don't know. I have no idea who's making the decisions, and nor do you. I know who wasn't, and it was Joe Biden. So I'm not about to be lectured by these same media outlets that refused to ask the question, by these same liberals that sat there and watched this pathetic old man fade into obscurity. It was elder abuse what they did to him, and I don't have any empathy or sympathy for Joe Biden. Because Joe Biden was a scummy politician long before he lost his mind to dementia. And I haven't forgotten that, whether he has or not. And Joe Biden was mentally fit enough in his final days to make sure that he protected his family through preemptive pardons. So I'm not about to be intimidated or influenced by these folks who seem to be concerned about who's running the presidency now. What I will love, and what I do love, some of the reaction to what Donald Trump is doing through Elon Musk. So the deadline was today. During his first week in office, he issued a directive to the federal workforce, including a requirement that remote employees return to in-person work. That seems reasonable, doesn't it? If you work for the federal government, if you work in the Trump administration is going to expect you to return to work. Is that such a burden? And then they made a wonderful and what I considered to be overly generous offer. All right, so let's put this in the framework of the private sector, right? A private business, or maybe it's a publicly traded company, let's say, but it's a private business, corporation. And the board of directors hires a new CEO. And that CEO comes in and he starts laying down the law. And part of his laying down the law was to say, hey, I know that we've allowed y'all to work remotely. and I understand that, and I know that about half the workforce works remotely right now, but I don't believe in it. I don't believe that that is a productive way to use your time. I don't care what you think. I don't care if you think you're more productive at home with your kids. I don't care if you think that you're more productive out of the office. Nobody cares what you think. It is not your job. It is our job. You fill the role. Y'all with me so far? So anybody that was working from home, you have to come on back to the office and work from the office. And God love you. Maybe some of you are upset about it. Whatever. Let's get over it and let's move on, and we'll be a more productive company as a result. Oh, by the way, if any of you are upset by this, if any of you are frustrated, if any of you feel like you don't like the concept of coming back to work in the workplace, in the office, we've got a deal for you. We're going to buy you out. You just tell us that you want to resign, and we're going to pay you for the next 8 months. 8 months of severance. And you can go find yourself another job. You can go lay on the beach. You can do whatever you want. 8 months. Seems like a pretty good offer in the private sector, doesn't it? You would never get it in the private sector, by the way. Never. If you did not have it guaranteed in your contract to begin with, you're not getting it. But that's what the federal government offered. Rather generous, if you ask me. And yet still it's not enough. And so a federal judge has placed a hold on this deadline that happened today. Apparently, there were lawsuits by the American Federation of Government Employees, the AFGE. Why we allow unionization within our government sectors is beyond me. We'll talk to Jay St. Clair about that tomorrow. We'll talk to him about all of this tomorrow, as a matter of fact, on Friday. 2 other unions have filed a complaint claiming the buyout is, quote, arbitrary and capricious and violates federal law. Listen to this allegation, which is hilarious. The unions allege that the administration cannot guarantee the plan will be funded. We're $37 trillion in debt as a nation, and we managed to continue funding these departments. We managed to grossly overspend by $1.8 trillion last year alone. And the union's claiming that Donald Trump's going to renege on his promise to pay individuals that choose to resign. Okay. Is there a better example of a government bureaucracy that thinks that they are bigger than the president himself? I don't know that I can find one. Your thoughts? 23 after the hour. Just getting underway. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy. For a moment, I'd like to talk to you gentlemen about some personal issues involving your health and involving your energy levels, and more specifically, involving bedroom activity. That's right. I'm here to talk about your activity in the bedroom, man, because I'm concerned. Some men allow themselves to whistle past the graveyard. That phrase is a favorite of mine. What it means is you know that there's danger, you know something's going wrong, but you just pretend that it's not there. Well, if you've been doing this with intimacy, with your partnership, with your relationship, it's time to get this situation handled, men. And the Tennessee Men's Clinic is all about it. The Tennessee Men's Clinic has 2 locations to serve you discreetly and professionally. One has been in Midtown since 2014. The other in Cool Springs since 2023. Both of them utilize the most modern techniques and technologies, the most modern medicine, and qualified urologists to help identify the issues going on in your world, whether it's low T levels or something else going on, and then they get to fixing those issues and getting you back to life again, back to intimacy again with your significant other. Is this you? If so, let's handle this by scheduling an appointment today. 615-208-9090. That's 208-9090, or go online to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com.
Attorney General Pam Bondi not wasting any time on sanctuary states and cities. We'll tell you about it at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Why, thank you much, Ken Weaver. 28 minutes after the hour. We're just getting cranked up. I've already put my rant pants on. Took my other pants off. You know, like, remember Mr. Rogers?
Yeah.
He'd come in, he'd take his dress. Where do you think Mr. Rogers worked? You ever wonder that?
A shoe, I always thought he was like either a shoe salesman,
Mm-hmm.
not a shoe salesman, but like in a cobbler type thing, where they
he's a cobbler, like a shoe repair guy.
make shoes.
Yeah.
Or either like a leather store, like where they make luggage or sell luggage and stuff like that.
Like S&M type?
No.
Luggage.
Oh,
okay.
That
What
type
about
of
you,
leather.
Ken Weaver?
I thought he was a librarian.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would work too.
I always went insurance salesman for some reason. I don't know why.
Ooh, yeah.
Insurance salesman. All I know is this: when he got home, he wanted to put on some comfy shoes and a sweater, a cardigan sweater.
Yeah, that's not very soft clothes-ish.
It doesn't feel it. And he never took off that tie. I mean, but look, there's a good lesson to be learned, guys and gals. If you've had a hard day at work, just go on home, change clothes, and go to the land of make-believe. However you want to do it. Because that's what Mr. Rogers did.
A lot of people do.
With well, I mean,
That's good advice.
I'm not knocking it. I mean, however you get there, just
It's up
make
to
sure
you.
you get there safely. One way or the other, I'm like Mr. Rogers, except I take off my regular pants and put on my rant pants.
Yeah, I think
was
we need to do something about that. I don't think HR is happy.
No.
about that.
So have you? Yeah. See, I don't like it. Hold on, I got to change it. I don't like it. Hold on.
Too bright.
I will have to say, Brother Murphy, that was a pretty good rant.
Well,
That was one of your best.
it's fascinating to me that government employees think that they have the right to their job. It's just a fascinating dynamic that they think it's their job and they have a right to it. We're going to talk about it a little more at length right after the news. We'll get to Steve and Dan. They'll be first up. Your calls as well, 615-737-9986. TB says, after a couple of whiskeys, I'm in fantasy land. That's what I'm talking about, TB. Land of make-believe. With Mr. McFeely, he was the male guy, right?
Yes.
Who was the king?
I was a little puppy.
I was a little puppet guy. He was the
was
king
his
of the
name?
land of make-believe. We're going to figure that out while Ken does the news. Here's the real news. We'll get back to the land of make-believe in a moment on Super Talk.
.330 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. National Weather Service has increased the risk of severe weather in Middle Tennessee to a level 2 out of 5. It's still slight, but it's better than a marginal risk. And right now, looking at radar, I see an area of some pretty heavy rain approaching Clarksville right now to the northwest of Nashville. And some other areas popping up as we speak. Looks like this severe weather threat is going to last through at least 9 o'clock tonight. Tell you more during the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. The Justice Department suing the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago over sanctuary city policies. The lawsuit accuses them of obstructing the enforcement of immigration laws. Border czar Tom Homan spoke to ABC News.
I would love to arrest a bad guy in a city or county jail. But in sanctuary cities, we don't have access. So they're going to release a public safety threat back into the community, which I think is foolish. Puts the community at risk, puts our officers at risk, and puts the alien at risk.
As for the ongoing arrests and deportations, Holman says out of about 14,000, around 76 of them were criminals as targeted by the policy. Changes in college sports. Just one day after President Trump signed the No Men and Women Sports Executive Order, the NCAA has officially limited participation in women's sports with a clear participation policy statement this afternoon that says a student athlete assigned male at birth may not compete on a women's team. NCAA President Charlie Baker said after Trump signed that yesterday that the president's providing a clear national standard. Trump administration's federal employee buyout offer is on hold until Monday after a judge blocked it today. Says he wants to have more arguments on both sides, federal labor unions and the Trump administration. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. I still don't see an accident on the interstates out there, but the stop and go is building, especially 24 eastbound. That's all the way down to Harding Place. Northbound 65 up to 24 north of downtown. That's getting pretty backed up. So is northbound 65 to the South Loop. And then, of course, east and westbound 40 in between the 40-24 split in downtown. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, not only is dealing with your insurance company very frustrating and difficult to do when it comes to your primary care physician, it is a little frustrating when you consider that oftentimes doctors are answering to the insurance company and not to the patient and the patient's needs. Not so much at Grace Point Healthcare. Let's talk about it because they are affordable, convenient, comprehensive health care that answers only to you. They are a direct pay primary care physician, meaning you can pay by the visit or you can enroll in their Smart Care plan, which will, for $69 a month, offer you unlimited office visits. Whenever you're sick, you make a call, you come in, same day, next day. Most times when you make the call, you'll get in by the next day. They believe in getting you in when you're sick. They believe in coming to your home if you can't come. As a matter of fact, they often do house calls if you're just feeling too bad to leave the home. Grace Point treats the entire body with a comprehensive medical approach. They just do things a little bit differently than modern medicine. You're not a number on a manila envelope or a folder. You are a name, you're a person, and they treat you like that, and they treat you individual to your needs. Call Grace Point Healthcare for more information, or better yet, stop by. They're located in the heart of Franklin, 599-6868. Schedule your next medical appointment or find out more, 599-6868 for Grace Point Healthcare. Speaking of dates, have you thought about what kind of date you're going to do for Valentine's Day? It's coming up, guys. I mean, Valentine's Day right around the corner. And if you've not thought about it, may I suggest to you a different kind of Valentine's Day celebration, one that involves the one and only Glock Store. That's right. The Glock Store is for couples. And at the Glock Store, they are offering a 2-for-1 special at their Shoot 270 range that you need to hear about. The Glock Store has it for you at glockstore.com or shoot270.com. Here's how it works. You call in and you schedule a visit at the Glock Store Shoot 270 ranges, which, I mean, by the way, I know that you know this by now, but the Glock Store ranges, they're just different than anything you've ever experienced. They don't do lanes. They do rooms. You have a personalized instructor. You're going to get a better shooting session. They're going to tailor the session specific to your needs and your level of ability and for your partner's level of ability. And for the month of February, if you mention my name, you get 2 for the price of 1, meaning you schedule 1 session for 1 person, and you can bring that significant other along with you. 2 shooters for the price of 1. Shoot270.com. Just mention my name. Minutes away from the airport. Worth the drive from anywhere. It's the one and only Glock Store. All right, getting to your calls and your thoughts on the idea that the government bureaucracy and unions think that they can stymie the president of the United States of America. And it's not as if he's firing a bunch of people. I mean, imagine if he fired a bunch of people, what the world would be like. It is not as if he is firing a bunch of people. He is giving you the opportunity to quit. Yet the government employee unions and at least one federal judge says no. The president of the United States of America, the chief executive officer of the United States, the head of the executive branch of government, per the Constitution of the United States, does not have the authority to offer buyouts, does not have the authority to offer people the opportunity to retire and be paid for 8 months, because they can't guarantee that they're going to pay you. We'll get back into more details in a moment, but I have to pay this off. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. King Friday the 13th was his name.
That was his name?
Yeah, King Friday the 13th, the ruler of the neighborhood of make-believe.
I did not remember that.
That's weird.
King Friday. And more formally, Friday the 13th. The ruler of the neighborhood of make-believe can be demanding, but he cares deeply for his subjects. Then there is, just while we're on the subject of these characters, Daniel Striped Tiger, the shy, gentle tiger, equal parts timid and brave. A lot of people said that Daniel was Fred Rogers, that was his kind of an alter ego for Fred Rogers.
Right.
Oh, well.
Lady Elaine Fairchild.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that. Yeah.
See, I thought that was a dude when I was a kid. Y'all remember? Like,
it was kind of
short hair and rosy cheeks.
Well,
But,
it looks like a dude.
it looks
like a scary dude. Looks like that crazy professor on Lost in Space.
it does look like you bumbling booby. Mischievous and a bit of a troublemaker, also brave, sassy, and ready to speak up. Elaine Fairchild.
Yeah, it looks like a drunkard, too. Nose was real red.
Mm-hmm. Red cheeks. Then there's Henrietta Pussycat, a lovable pussycat, all dressed up in fancy dresses and hats. And then X the Owl, fun-loving, easygoing, relaxed sort of owl who loves to learn. I don't really remember the owl.
I don't remember the owl either.
If y'all have a chance to, if you want to have y'all cry in movies?
only if there's like a dog involved. That gets me.
Yeah, there's been a couple.
Got to walk away. I'm a big crier in movies. As I live my life, I become a bigger crier in life too. I used to never cry in life, but in movies can get me. They can pull my heartstrings. Watch. What was it? It was the story about Mr. Rogers. Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, I think was the name of it.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Tom Hanks played Mr. Rogers in the film. And it's
Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Watch A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, and he uses the puppets. It's a story about a guy that's doing an article about Mr. Rogers, and he wants to expose Mr. Rogers as not being genuine like Mr. Rogers claims to be. He's not squeaky clean or whatever. And instead, Fred Rogers kind of turns the tables on him and begins to explore his life and his relationship with his father, his very bad relationship with his father. And it's just a very, very, very touching movie.
Yeah.
And if you don't have and let me warn you, though, because I didn't. If you don't have a very good relationship with your dad, now, obviously, my grandpa was my real father. My dad was absent for years. But if you don't have a good relationship with your dad and you watch this movie, you will boo frickin' who. So, anyway, he uses the puppets. He uses King Friday, and he uses Daniel the Tiger in that film as well. Anyway, 615-737-9986. Let's talk to Steve and or Dan. Hello, Steve.
Steve and Dan from Hunland. Hey, Matt.
What is
I'm
up?
Still waiting on my coffee cup and pen. Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, it's right here. I have it right here. It's got your name on it, Dan.
It's been a year.
I mean,
all right. But anyway, no, I wanted to talk about these people just losing their minds about Elon Musk. And, he was appointed. What about the Fed that controls our interest rates? They control our economy in a way, and they're not elected, they're appointed. But we let that go on. So why now is the big deal about Elon Musk? Just asking.
Well, I mean, it's a big deal about Elon Musk because Elon Musk is friendly with Donald Trump. It's a big deal because Elon Musk is not interested in growing the size, scope, and footprint of government. He's interested in shrinking it. I mean, obviously, the question is almost rhetorical in nature, Steve, because
I know, but
mean,
it's also promises kept, promises,
well, and, I mean, if you think the man is freaking out, if you think the Democrats are freaking out about what the man is accomplishing now, wait until he gets into things like the Fed. I think it's time to call to audit the Fed.
This is just the beginning. I can't. I'm a federal employee. I'm in the military, and yes, I'm loving it. I think it's great. So.
Well, I absolutely, I absolutely love it as well. And thank you for the call, gentlemen. And I thought it was a bottle of water in an ink pen used by me. I don't think it was a coffee cup, and maybe it was somebody else that gave you the coffee cup. But I offer to great callers like Steve and Dan a bottle of water and an ink pen used by me, because those are the only prizes that I found around the radio station. Although I could sneak it, I figured out a way to sneak into the prize closet.
We have a prize closet?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I didn't know we even had a prize closet.
Define we. Somebody's got a prize closet.
I got you. I didn't even know about that.
I don't think it's us.
That's not the one with the binders and the highlighters in it, is it?
And
those aren't the prizes, I hope.
Well, I mean, I think that's.
I mean, for us, they're pretty prized.
I was about to say that's the WTN prize closet. Yeah. Every other station in this building, they have a different prize closet with the good stuff. I think the real prize closet, it seems to me that all the prizes end up in, I mean, no offense if you're listening, but Rich's office, our promotions director. Have you seen his office?
Yeah.
It's chock full of prizes.
Yeah.
And they don't seem to go anywhere.
I don't know if he has a plan for them or if he's just waiting for that special day.
I think we're watching the plan in action.
There might be a stray six-pack of Mountain Dew somewhere.
Well, there's some Gentleman Jack in there.
What?
Not for long.
I knew that would get your attention. Musk is looking in the right places, and it's ticking off all of the cockroaches, writes Kevin. You're exactly right, Kevin. Philip wants to know, hey, Matt, how can I win that motorcycle you like going riding on? That's going to be a little bit of a tougher hill to climb there, Philip. I'll think on it. You can ride with me if you have something to ride on. We'll figure that out over the spring and summer months. Not even a month, and I'm sick of winning. LOL, writes 5410. You're right about that, too. So on Tuesday, the AFGE, which is a government employee union, filed a lawsuit calling for a temporary restraining order to halt the Trump administration's Fork Directive. That Fork Directive, F-O-R-K, has a deadline of February the 6th, today, requiring that the government articulate a policy that is lawful and not arbitrary and unlawful. Now, if you have not researched, or if you are unsure about who this is covering, let me help you by saying who it doesn't cover, right? Because it does not cover military personnel. These are only civilian employees of the federal government. It does not cover Postal Service employees. It does not cover positions related to immigration enforcement and national security. And it does not cover any position specifically excluded by the agency itself that the federal employees are employed by. For example, it does not include air traffic controllers, because air traffic controllers do not enjoy the same union status, nor do they enjoy the same quote-unquote union rights that other civilian employees of the federal government enjoy. They are considered to be essential level employees that are not allowed to strike and are not governed by this retirement opportunity. You would think, based on the manner in which the unions and some of the employees have acted, that all of these people are getting fired. We're not firing anybody. By the way, 40,000 government employees have already taken up Donald Trump's offer. 40,000. That represents about 2%, I think, of the overall civilian government employee population. That's a good start. That's what you call a good start in paring down the size and scope of government. I talked for a brief moment about a good friend of mine in Jefferson County, Alabama, by the name of David Carrington. And I'm going to get David on the show to give you a microcosm example of what you can do in government if you really want to. Jefferson County, compare Jefferson County to Davidson County, okay? Jefferson County is not as large in size, but it is a large county. It's one of the largest counties in the state of Alabama, if not the largest county in the state of Alabama. Jefferson County was broke. They had a sewer debacle, a boondoggle. They spent billions of dollars that they should not have spent, and they were underwater and could not pay their debts. They were broke and needed to go bankrupt. And so an election comes along, and the voters of Jefferson County saw fit to elect a completely different county commission. I think 4 out of the 5 county commissioners were new, and David Carrington was among them. Carrington was named the president of the Jefferson County Commission. Some of his initial acts as president of the Jefferson County Commission were as follows. He immediately declared bankruptcy. One of the first times y'all might have heard about this up here. Jefferson County became, I want to say, the first, if not the first, the second municipality in the history of the United States of America to declare bankruptcy. A government entity declared bankruptcy. We cannot pay our debts. We don't have the ability to pay our debts, and we're going to default on some of our debts, mainly sewer debt. David Carrington declared bankruptcy, something that he was told he couldn't do, but he did it. He then cut over 40% of the Jefferson County workforce. 4 out of every 10 workers were fired, sent home. He cut over 30% of the Department of Motor Vehicles workforce. And I remember at the time, I had David on the show. We talked about these cuts. I was even a naysayer. I was concerned about, people said, oh, the potholes will never get filled. The county will cease to function. The county's going to dissolve upon itself. They won't be able to do anything effectively or efficiently. And let me tell you something. Based on his leadership, the county not only survived, it became better. And they cut 40% of the workforce. Because, frankly, any given workforce in government, I would almost guarantee you that at least 25% of the workforce is unnecessary. That you could cut that scum off the top and you could not impact or affect the efficiency of government if you have the right leadership and if the right leadership insists on the right attitude. And that's what this is all about. 40,000 workers want to go? See ya. Goodbye. And instead of saying, thank you, Mr. Trump, I've been meaning to get out of the public sector anyway. Thank you, Mr. Trump, for offering me 8 months of severance. Thank you, Mr. Elon Musk, for giving me this opportunity to offer me this fork in the road. By the way, they take the fork from, he called the Twitter thing the same thing. When Elon went in on Twitter, he offered a fork directive. You can go one of 2 ways. You can do things my way, or you can go home. Is it not about time that we experience that in the government of the United States of America? Is that not a good thing? Instead, they sue. Because some federal judge, U.S. District Judge George O'Toole, aptly named Junior, by the way, he did not express an opinion on the legality of Trump's buyback program. What do you mean the legality of the buyback program? Anyone that doesn't like the new sheriff, anyone that doesn't like the new way we're doing things. So the union and the government employees are suggesting that the bosses do not get to dictate how they do their jobs and whether or not they keep them. How insane is this? Is this not insane to anybody else? This is insanity that the inmates think they run the place. But they do. 52 after the hour, we'll continue to explore that. Oh, it gets better. It gets even better. Tom Homan is experiencing some of the same garbage with regard to ICE immigration and local communities that think that they have the ability to tell him they know better. We'll get into that in just a moment on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It was last year that I received a call from Dr. Stephen Poss, and Dr. Poss said this to me: Matt, we're growing by leaps and bounds. We've got the 2 locations in Brentwood and Murfreesboro, growing so much with regard to the FDA-approved oral devices that we offer our patients to help with their sleep apnea without having to deal with the CPAP machines. We're growing so much in terms of our coverage and the fact that insurance covers almost every one of the procedures they do, whether it's Blue Cross Blue Shield, Aetna, Cigna, United Healthcare, TRICARE for the military. We're growing so much, we're bringing on a new doctor, Dr. Brian McLaughlin. Dr. Brian McLaughlin has the same service heart as Dr. Stephen Poss, and he's been serving you for the better part of a year now at the Murfreesboro and Brentwood locations. Let's get in here and let's stop the sleep apnea that has been troubling you in your life. If you snore a lot or if you stop breathing throughout the course of the night, you need to deal with this. Health implications abound with this situation. Let's get with Dr. Stephen Poss and Dr. Brian McLaughlin, Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. The first step is to go to drposs.com. That's drposs.com for more information. And tell them Matt Murphy sent you.
Pot for potholes. I'll tell you about it at 4 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Did you say pot for potholes?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's a tease, boys.
What do you think about that?
I'm going to listen.
Yep.
I'm almost ready just to go to the news right now so I can hear. I like it. I'll go down there and find that gentleman Jack downstairs. Anyway, 615-737-9986. So it's fascinating to me that the inmates that have run the asylum for this long are shocked and amazed that this type of activity is going on, but they seem to be. And they seem to think that they have the ability, they have the right, dare I say, to stop it. Labor unions are suing Donald Trump over his plans to allow people to quit. So the idea is, no, you cannot allow employees to quit. No, you cannot give them 7 months or 8 months severance. No. But do you think you have the right to an eternal job? I mean, I'm the one to call the baby ugly, folks. It is not your job. I know that you think it is. I know that you take ownership of it. I know you do a great work wherever you might be work sector, but it ain't your job. It's your employer's job. And whatever contract you have come up with between you and your employer, that's between you and your employer, and that might involve details that would make it a little more difficult to fire you. But let me assure you, you are not the monkey that's going to stop this circus, and nor are these employees. The circus will go on. Speaking of the circus, it's time for Ken Weaver in the news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Four o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Looking at radar, I see some pretty heavy rain right now north of Nashville, right in between Clarksville and Springfield. It is moving east. Now, we got to keep in mind the National Weather Service has increased our risk for severe weather today. It is now a level 2 out of 5, and that's going to run through 9 o'clock tonight. Full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. Right now in Tennessee, a new bill filed by 2 Nashville Democrats in the General Assembly would legalize marijuana, use taxes from it to fix potholes. Here's Channel 4's Dryden Quigley.
Representative Afton Bain had the idea last month that if the state was going to legalize marijuana, it should benefit everyone. So she created Pot for Potholes. It would tax marijuana sales at 15%, then that money would go into the highway fund.
Every year we hear bills in the legislature to legalize recreational marijuana, but there hasn't really been a definitive and creative way to tell you where that money is going.
By the way, Heidi Campbell is the Senate sponsor. Justice Department suing the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago over their sanctuary city policies. That's not all Attorney General Pam Bondi is going to be busy with. President Trump says Bondi is going to head up the Religious Freedom Commission to eradicate what he calls anti-Christian bias.
The mission of this task force will be to immediately halt all forms of anti-Christian targeting and discrimination within the federal government, including at the DOJ, which was absolutely terrible, the IRS, the FBI, terrible, and other agencies.
College sports. The NCAA this afternoon officially banning men from competing in women's sports just one day after President Trump's No Men in Women's Sports executive order. Stephen Portnoy has the new development on the Trump administration federal employee buyout.
In a brief hearing, Boston-based federal judge George O'Toole ordered a pause on tonight's deadline to give both the Trump administration and its opponents more time to craft their arguments. The judge directed the government to send emails to all eligible employees, advising them that the buyout is now on ice, pending the next hearing on Monday afternoon. At last check, the White House said more than 40,000 federal workers had decided to take the offer, meaning they'd immediately be placed on leave but remain on the payroll through the end of September.
And here in Middle Tennessee, the Rutherford County School Board votes tonight on banning DEI practices throughout the district. Here's sponsor member Caleb Tidwell.
The way that it's been implemented to bring boys into girls' spaces in sports, I think, is very inappropriate. We're looking for the best people that would be the best fit for each area. And I think that will bring about more academic success than any of the bureaucracy that goes with the DEI system.
Yeah, other board members in Rutherford County, they want DEI banished, but on a state level first. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hello, folks. Matt Murphy here for Men of Valor. What a wonderful organization. What a wonderful mission that the Men of Valor has on their plate. And they need volunteers. They need help. They need individuals that are willing to go into these prison systems and perhaps disciple to men who are in crisis or help them at their aftercare reentry campus, whether it be in Nashville or in Knoxville. Let's talk about this for a moment. 90% of the men that go into prison will get out at some point or another. Only 10% are there for their lifetimes. What type of men do you want coming out of these facilities? Do you want men that are going to commit crimes again? Recidivism rates within 3 years are over 50%. When Men of Valor steps in, when they disciple, when they talk to these men about the power of God and how to be a better member of society, a productive member of society, they turn that over 50% rate into one that is less than 15%. What an incredible, valuable resource in our community. But they need you from a volunteer standpoint, from a donation standpoint. They also save us money on the back end because these men don't go back into the system. Go to movministry.com to find out more and to find out how you can help. movministry.com. Do me the favor and tell these guys that Matt Murphy sent you to the one and only Men of Valor.
Downtown going eastbound on the East Loop. Got a crash at Shelby Avenue. And down there in Williamson County, a bit of an obstacle course on 840 eastbound at Pinewood Road. There is a mattress in the left lane. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, friends. Matt Murphy and the Matt Murphy Show continues just after 4 o'clock. Good afternoon. Hope everyone's well. Hope you're keeping dry. There's some rain in our communities, rain in our area, and more will fall as the evening goes on and the evening becomes night. We're expecting some severe weather over the course of the next several hours. As a matter of fact, I pulled up and I know Ken Weaver's been telling you about this, but just to reiterate it, there's a upgraded to a slight risk, a level 2 out of 5 threat for this afternoon. Best chance of severe weather from right now. Wow, what's it doing now?
Just cloudy.
Oh no! I touched it.
Wow, that thing's automatic.
I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know what just happened.
That was pretty cool, actually.
I don't know.
Yeah.
All I did was touch it. I touched it and it did. I'm scared now. I don't know what to do with that.
Careful.
I'm just going to leave that be for the time. For those not watching on the, or for those watching on the Super Talk television side of things, I touched a blind and it went all the way up. like a little, what is that, a shade?
It's a shade. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
never seen one do that before. Just kind of like it was.
Automatic?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe there's another remote. We found a remote for the television. We found a remote for the lights. Maybe there's some more remotes around here that we haven't found yet. Who knows? I do know this, that we have Congressman David Kustoff on the phone with us to talk about what's going on in the 8th Congressional District, what's happening in Washington, D.C., and around the globe. It's always good to catch up with a good congressman. David, thank you for being on with us again. Good afternoon. I hope you're well, sir.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Yeah, my guess is things in Tennessee are much better than they are in Washington, D.C.
Well, we're probably spending a lot less money. Although, I'll tell you this, over the last few weeks, we seem to be cracking down on some of that monetary spending in Washington, D.C., which is a subject that I do want to get to with you. But before we do that, I do want to talk with you about, obviously, the news of the last 48 hours, the visit from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. I saw from your social media platforms that you had an opportunity to meet, to shake the hand of the Prime Minister, to speak with Benjamin Netanyahu. And I'm just curious how that meeting went. What can you tell us?
Yeah, well, so Prime Minister Netanyahu's been in the United States. I think this is his third day now. He met with President Trump a couple of days ago, a very historic meeting and news conference. He met with some members of Congress, including me, earlier this afternoon. We met for a little over an hour. It was a bipartisan group, some Republicans, some Democrats, off-the-record talks. But one thing I can share, number one, I think most people know this who are listening to the show, Benjamin Netanyahu is one strong, shrewd leader. And you can't do the job that he does without having all of those very special qualities. So he kind of went back in time, walked us back prior to the attacks of October 7th, 2023, where we are currently, the discussions that he's had with President Trump before this trip to the U.S. and since, and then what he sees as the remaining threats to Israel and frankly to the United States, and a lot of that focused on Iran. You know, Iran sponsors the enemies of Israel, the Hamas, the Houthis, etc. And the greatest threat to Israel, I shouldn't say the greatest, but probably from his standpoint, the strongest is if Iran does in fact get nuclear capability, and the threat that it would pose not only to Israel, but certainly to the United States.
Well, let's dive a little bit deeper, if you don't mind, Congressman, in the commentary that Donald Trump did make during his joint press conference, and where, you know, with your intimate knowledge of this, where you think this is going. My initial, you know, I've learned over my years of covering Donald Trump, and I don't know if you feel similarly, that you have to be patient. We have to figure out, you know, what is our game plan and what is our goal. You know, sometimes he seems to throw these things out as a part of a beginning of a negotiation. Sometimes he seems to throw language or statements out in order to see other players involved in any given situation react. I felt like that's what he was doing. One of my hesitations is the idea that America necessarily needs to see boots on the ground in Gaza. Where are you on the concept of American soldiers on the ground maintaining security in the Gaza Strip? Yes, no, or somewhere in the middle?
So, we just had an election about this, about these very issues, about American influence in different parts of the world, boots on the ground, endless wars, and Donald Trump got a pretty strong, commanding electoral vote and popular vote on those issues. My feeling is that when President Trump talked about going into Gaza and making the statements that he did, he is truly trying to disrupt. And the fact of the matter is, if you remember, before he was sworn in, a few weeks before he was sworn in, he told Hamas to to get the hostages released and get things settled with Israel, or in his words, you may remember this, all hell is going to break loose. And so for President Trump to make the comments that he made a couple of days ago about Gaza, I think the message to Hamas and frankly to the enemies of Israel is you need to get your act together, because you don't know what I'm going to do and what I may do. And so, to your point, some of what President Trump talks about is for negotiating purposes. That is what he does. That is what he's done his entire life, and he's been very effective. But I do think the 30,000-foot message, Matt, is that the United States is Israel's greatest ally, and we are going to have Israel's back. And the enemies of Israel can take that what they want to, but let's get things settled with Israel.
Well, what I do like is that through his words, he is resetting what the expectations ought to be, and hopefully the American people see this loudly and clearly, that we cannot just do the same thing that we've done in the past and allow Hamas to take hold of Gaza again, allow them to begin the reconstruction in their own fashion, because I think the president well knows, as do you, Congressman Kustoff, that, as soon as the rebuilding begins, that's when the money starts flowing in. And if the same old individuals act in the same fashion, they're going to funnel that money to terrorist operations once again. And we just cannot let that happen for the sake of our allies, the Israelis.
There's no doubt about it. And Israel obviously is the only democracy in that part of the world. And if Israel were to fail, it's not going to fail. But if it were to fail, it would be a security threat to us, to the United States. So we need to make sure that Israel has the resources that it needs so that it can defend itself. And that's all they ask from us. They want ammo and they want planes, and they will do the rest. And they do a very fine job, as you know, with the IDF and with their armed forces in protecting Israel.
Our guest is Congressman David Kustoff, talking about the first 2 weeks of the Trump administration, specifically over the last several minutes, discussing the visit from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and some of the commentary and his opportunity to meet with the Prime Minister. Beyond that, I mean, obviously the biggest, I think the over the first 2 weeks, there's been a lot to digest. We are not accustomed, at least over the last 4 years, Congressman, we've not been accustomed to this type of activity out of the White House, to say the least. I can't find anything that has been, in my opinion, more impactful than what they're trying to do with Tom Homan as the border czar and the czar of ICE, if you will. And Kristi Noem has obviously been influential in her new role as Secretary of Homeland Security. That is obviously having its impact in the state of Tennessee. I'm interested in your thoughts about how that is going and how Tennessee can benefit from seeing these criminal elements removed from our country. And does Congress need to, at some point, step in and authorize some of this activity to stabilize that activity to a certain degree? Because obviously most of this is coming through executive order.
No doubt about it. I was thinking about when you set that up that Donald Trump's been president for 17 days, and I think there's been more activity in those 17 days than Biden had in his first 17 months. I mean, it's just I deal with these issues all the time, and it's tough for me to keep up with. So I know it's tough for most everybody else, my constituents, to keep track of everything that Donald Trump has executed in terms of by way of executive orders and decisions is in the first 17 days. I was at a Republican congressman meeting last week. Congressman Desjardins was there, and Congressman John Rose, and Congressman Mark Green. And President Trump said that his advisors told him during the campaign that he should talk mostly about the economy and inflation. And he said to us that he disagreed with them and thought that that people around the country were most concerned about the border and illegal immigration, and so that's what he focused on primarily. And again, that's one big reason the people went to the polls. So I think when you see what Tom Homan has done and Kristi Noem in her short time as Secretary of Homeland Security, it is really strong. They are executing on the president's policy to, first of all, have deported the most dangerous of the illegal immigrants, those with criminal records and those who have a propensity for violence. And they are doing that. They have boarded those people on planes and gotten them out of the country. And to your point, when I've been visiting with my local sheriffs and police chiefs the last week and a half or so, they've told me that ICE and Homeland Security have been reaching out to them, and that's something that they didn't see in the prior 4 years. They want to know, ICE and Homeland Security, what can they do to help local sheriffs and police chiefs to have deported those who are in the communities illegally, and my sheriffs and my police chiefs welcome that from Homeland Security.
Congressman, I want to, in the few minutes that we have left, shift gears to a few other matters. I mean, obviously, there's so much. We could talk for the next hour or so about the goings-on of Washington, D.C., but some of your colleagues on the left, they have not reacted well, needless to say, to Donald Trump's effort to right-size government. There has been obviously, through the Department of Government Efficiency, as we're calling it, Donald Trump in the executive branch has empowered his good friend, Elon Musk, in rooting out where waste and inefficiency is happening and even corruption. Obviously, USAID's getting a lot of attention, and this is causing a lot of consternation amongst your colleagues on the left. What can you say about your support or even concerns that you might have about the Department of Government Efficiency? What are you most hopeful that we see accomplished? And is it important, and I'll kind of follow up on the question like I did with the immigration piece, is it important that Congress act in some fashion to codify some of this activity beyond executive orders?
Yeah, in fact, I appreciate you setting it up that way again. With what President Trump is trying to do in terms of the border and Homeland Security, one thing he does need, he needs laws passed from us. He needs policy passed from us that he can't do through executive order, and obviously he needs funding for construction of the border wall, reconstruction of the border wall, pay for border control agents, ICE agents, etc. Donald Trump was elected to shake things up, and people are not only tired of the spending, they're really concerned about the national debt, which may be our greatest national security issue. So to have Elon essentially be deputized to go into various departments and agencies and find waste and fraud and abuse, I applaud that. I think the majority of the people that I represent appreciate that. The majority of the people in Tennessee appreciate that. And so from an appropriation standpoint, we want to follow the president's initiative, and we know that he's got a big agenda, and we want to be lockstep, because there are not too many times politically when you get the trifecta, right? When you get with the White House, the majority control of the United States Senate, and majority of control of the House of Representatives. It doesn't happen that often in our nation's history. So we've got a 2-year window, and probably, Matt, really less than that, to try to get these big things done.
One of the issues before the Congress right now is the issue of reconciliation. For those not following, this is for the budget year that ends at the end of September, but there has to be some reconciliation between the Senate and the House. Some House members seem to be holding out for a bigger bite at the debt apple. Do you have comfort and confidence that we're going to see reconciliation through the House and the Senate sooner rather than later, so that, in my opinion, we better start working on the budget for next fiscal year now to get back to regular order? I mean, you know well that, you probably, since you've been there, David, haven't seen much regular order in terms of actually getting a budget passed in a timely fashion. How hopeful are you that we get reconciliation done?
Well, we need to get it done because the American people have elected us to do that. And to your point, earlier this afternoon, President Trump was meeting with some of the Republican House leadership to talk through strategy. And so, what President Trump wants done is, going back to what you asked me a moment ago, he wants his border policy legislated into law, address the illegal immigration, address energy policy, and address tax policy, which is within my committee's jurisdiction on the House Ways and Means, so that we can extend or make permanent, the Trump-era tax cuts from 2017, which mostly expire at the end of the year if we don't do anything to extend them out. So the big issue is, do we take all of this policy that I just talked to you about and try to break it up into two big bills, or one, as he calls it, one big beautiful bill? And I think, along with Speaker Mike Johnson and the Ways and Means Chairman Jason Smith, that we need to do it in one big beautiful bill. We need to get it done. We need to get it done. Newt Gingrich says we ought to get it done by July the 4th, get it on President Trump's desk before July 4th, because, I mentioned this 2-year window. When we passed these big, important, substantial tax cuts in 2017, which benefited everybody in this country, everybody listening to this show, it was a big help for them, a big help for the economy, but politically, we did it too late for it to take effect in 2018. So I want a big win for President Trump early, and I think we should do it in, as he says, one big, beautiful bill.
Congressman, always good to catch up with you. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for your representation in the 8th Congressional District of the state of Tennessee, and we'll talk to you again next time very soon.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
There's David Kustoff joining us for a few good moments. 25 after the hour, we will reflect on that and get your comments. 615-737-9986. What's going on, friends? It's Matt Murphy, and I have a question or two for you regarding your insurance. How much do you pay for your health insurance? How much did you pay last year? I mean, do you know? Do you know what it really cost you for the insurance plan that you currently have? Well, I have a name for you. It's Shane Ring at Cover Nash, and Shane can tell you, like today, exactly what it cost you and whether or not you've got the right plan for you. Cover Nash wants you to know how much you spend and, more importantly, how much you overspend on your health care plan. Shane Ring is not a call center agent somewhere way far away. I mean, his name of his business is Cover Nash, right? He's right here in Nashville, Tennessee. He's a local health insurance expert. I've sat down with him, and I had to stop him. I was like, Shane, I'm not smart enough to follow you. You are. He's going at breakneck speed. He is as knowledgeable as I've ever met with the health insurance industry, and he can sit down with you, help you shop the entire health care plan market, and find a health plan that is right and available for you. Cover Nash wants you to be informed about your health insurance coverage, so don't wait until open enrollment. As a matter of fact, you don't need to. You need to call Shane Ring and help him find the right coverage for you. CoverNash.com. That's CoverNash.com for more information, or call 615-465-0023. 465-0023. Take control of your money and health coverage managed by you, not by the government, with Cover Nash.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly. who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, tracking the potential for some severe weather here in Middle Tennessee tonight. The National Weather Service has increased that risk from a level 1 to a level 2. So it's still in the slight category, but can't rule it out, and it's more likely that it could happen. Now, taking a look at radar right now, there is beginning to be a lot more angry red, if you will, mixed in with the green. The green showing light to moderate rain, the red showing heavy rain. Sometimes it's storming those areas. And right now we've got an area just north of Nashville that is moving to the east. It looks like it is right there between Springfield, Portland, and Gallatin. So we have to keep an eye on it for you. Full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. Metro Police Chief John Drake says he wants new laws in the wake of the Antioch High School shooting and the subsequent threats against schools since.
Trying to get some legislation passed as high up as Congress, because I've talked to someone at that level, that when a person makes a post online, there's an algorithm that can pick it up and say this person wants to commit mass violence or wants to shoot a lot of people and alert local law enforcement.
Apparently, the shooter at Antioch High School made a post around 8 o'clock in the morning that day that at 11 o'clock he was going to shoot people. Chief Drake says in the weeks since the Antioch High School shooting, there have been 67 threats against Nashville schools. He says 2 were unfounded, but the other 65 were actual threats. Border Czar Tom Homan just updated the ongoing illegal immigration operation since President Trump took office.
We're about 14,000 arrests, and about 76% of them are criminals. That's the target of the operation.
Meanwhile, the Justice Department suing the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago over their sanctuary policies. And when the Rutherford County School Board meets tonight, they're going to vote on a resolution to ban DEI practices district-wide. Some say that's not necessary since the district is already DEI-free, but board member Caleb Tidwell says,
I've been told that Rutherford County is not implementing this practice, but since we're not implementing, I think it's best to do away with it in case it were to be brought up in the future.
Another board member said they don't see a need to push against DEI without a similar bill being proposed to fight against it at the state level. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, downtown going eastbound on the East Loop. Still have that crash right after Shelby Avenue, and very, very heavy traffic if you are eastbound 440 over to 24. That is very heavy on either side of 65. 65 northbound really backed up to get to the South Loop downtown. The South Loop going eastbound is bumper to bumper. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Shower, otherwise mostly cloudy, a high near 55. Saturday warms back to the mid-70s.
So, friends, Nashville Safe House is the largest Browning safe dealer in the United States of America. Did you guys know that? I mean, I think they're the largest safe house in the United States. I know that they are the largest in the Southeast. Why does that matter to you, though? When I say, oh, they're the biggest and they've got all of these, because you have something in stock for you. You don't have to wait. You don't have to order it out of a catalog. You can see it. You can feel it. You can look at it. You can make sure that it is as big as you want it to be, whether it's a jewelry safe or a corporate safe or a gun safe to protect your families. And they've got the best rebates around. And with all of these safes in stock with all manner of different brand names, they have something that's right for you. Go see Mark and his team at Nashville Safe House. Tell him that I insist that in 2025 I be the employee of the year. I'm not an employee, but I want to be the employee. I mean, well, Joe Biden was the employee of the year last year because Joe Biden probably sold more safes than I did. But I want to be the employee this year. So go by and see them on 4th Avenue South, across the street from City Cemetery. Go online and see the incredible selection of safes at NashvilleSafehouse.com. That's NashvilleSafehouse.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy and you. Hello. There's Chris Webber behind the glass. Behind another set of glass is Ken Weaver. The trifecta is here, getting you home in a safe fashion. Hopefully you're avoiding the rain, although there is rain in wild abundance in our listening area right now. Super Talk 99.7 WTN will be here for you. Any inclement weather or any factors that are a result of inclement weather, we'll keep you up to date with that all afternoon long on Super Talk 99.7. Your calls as well. If you act as field producers for us, and so if you have anything to say about the weather or otherwise, 615-737-9986. I'm being unjustly accused of something on the Super Text line.
What'd you do this time?
So we had Congressman David Kustoff on.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the art of doing this job is being able to do, well, I'm not like you, Weber. You do like 5 different things at once. And I've often said that the best producers in the business, and I consider you to be one of the best producers if not the best producer in the business today.
Checks in the mail.
Certainly the best one that's sitting here on the radio with me right now. But that said, the best producers in the business have an ability not just to do 5 things at once, but to innately know which one is most important.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which one you have to pay most attention to right now. And that can change at a moment's notice.
Yeah.
So I was trying to do my best to Weber, is all I can tell you, when we were having a conversation with David Kustoff, and I'm being accused by those who were watching on television of not listening. Well, because we had a shade situation when he was on, and I chose to solve, when he was answering my question about Israel, I chose to solve the shade situation while he was answering it.
You were still listening.
I was still listening. I was just doing something while I was listening. So it was like if, if you're at home and the wife is talking with you and you're doing wait, no, that doesn't work because she gets mad.
Yep.
Well, nobody tell David Kustoff that I was working on the shade while he was talking. How about that? I was listening. So, 1998 writes in and says, Matt, remember, when we can see you, we can tell you weren't listening to that dude either.
Wait, were they just admitting that they weren't listening?
They did.
Mm-hmm.
They did. And that dude is named David Kustoff, and he's very nice. I appreciate the fact that he wants to come into Middle Tennessee. I mean, they contact us and ask if they can come on, talk about what's going on in the 8th Congressional District, which I think I'm right in this. The 8th District is the largest geographical congressional district. I think all of the districts in the state have about the same amount of constituents, and because it's more of a rural district, it is more geographical area than any other district. Just to the east of Memphis, starting in about Germantown, and they go through Jackson, I guess, in the 8th Congressional District. Anyway, I was listening to most of what he had to say. Now, I did not ask him the question, and there was a follow-up question that a couple of you were curious about. And I would suggest that no one knows the answer to the follow-up question, which is, where are the people? I have never, until the last couple of days, heard the phrase Gazans. I don't, but that's a new thing, and a lot of people are saying it now. Are we talking about the Palestinians? And I understand Palestine is not an actual place. I mean, there's the West Bank, which has Palestinians in it, which is controlled by the Palestinian Authority, which used to be the PLO. They won authority over the West Bank. We don't talk about the West Bank very often because they're a more moderate wing of the Palestinians. And then you have Hamas, which won leadership, a governmental role in governing the Palestinian people over the Gaza Strip when Israel pulled out in 2006, 2007. And since that time, instead of using the money that they've been given, the billions and billions and billions of dollars that they've been given to help their people, to help build that region of the world, to help build it into what it could be, as Donald Trump so eloquently said the other day, they've been using that money to build tunnels and to buy armaments and to buy weapons from Iran, and they use Iranian money to do the same thing with it, as much as they possibly can. They'll throw out a little humanitarian aid here and there. However, all of that to say, I've not heard the phrase Gazans until very recently, and that's kind of a new one on me. But whether we're talking about, I suppose we're talking about the people that live in the Gaza Strip, and the question is, where are they going to go? Well, that's a good question, and I don't know that we have a good answer for it. The Egyptians have said they will not take them. The Jordanians have said that they will not take them. The Saudi Arabians certainly don't want them. Syria's no place to go. I don't know where in the Middle East they're going to go. Nobody wants them, and nobody wants them for a reason. Because sadly, and I say sadly, because I believe many of these people have been totally brainwashed. 80+% of the Palestinian people agree with Hamas. 80+% of the Palestinian people say that they want Israel wiped off the face of the earth. And sadly, when people talk about doing the right thing for the innocent Palestinians, nobody ever talks about that. Sally writes in. It says, Matt, you tell those people accusing you of not listening that it was really hard to listen to that guy. I almost tuned out too. Well, oh, y'all be nice. David's a good guy. David's a good guy. Eric says, how about the West Bank? We don't hear about the West Bank right now. I mean, maybe they could go to the West Bank. I mean, perhaps that's an option, but the West Bank's not very big.
Yeah, all of them? Yeah,
I don't know.
And IDF's still rooting out some things there.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. So, I mean, if you've got business to attend to there, that's not exactly the right place to put them. Stephen says there's still some open areas around the rubble in Gaza to house the Palestinians who want to stay. Make a deal with them to help reconstruction to pay for their tent city and their services. I mean, I think that's the best middle-of-the-road option. And no, I do not believe that it should be an option to immigrate any of the Palestinians to the United States of America. I mean, for those that are earnest in their belief that they want to see a different life in Palestine or a different life in the Gaza Strip, I feel bad for them because you are overwhelmed by bad actors, and we don't know how to tell one from the other, sadly. And because of that, no, I don't want them anywhere near the United States of America. I think this has got to be a joke, right? I just had someone reach out to me and say that that Tennessee Senator Jeff Yarbrough, Y-A-R-B-R-O. It's Jeff Yarbrough. I can't pronounce his last name. Yarbrough.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, bro. Yarbrough. Out of Nashville. And State Representative Jason Powell. Have you heard this, Ken, that these two have introduced the Shielding Tennesseans from Oligarchic Power and Eliminating Lawless Obstruction of Necessities Act on Thursday?
Yes.
That would be the Stop Elon Act.
Yes.
I would suggest, and this is Matt Murphy talking, not Ken Weaver. Ken Weaver does the news.
Yes, sir.
These are not serious people. And they're not mindful of serious things. They don't really care about serious things. Have you noticed that the people that are angry about Donald Trump and Doge and Elon Musk, none of them are talking about the actual issues. No one is defending the programs that are being eliminated or are being considered for elimination. No one's talking about USAID as a good, I mean, obviously we recognize that there are some good aspects to the multi-billion-dollar agency, but for the most part, nobody's defending transgender operas. No one's defending transgender comic books. No one's defending the expenditure of millions and millions and millions of dollars. And I would humbly suggest that while this is just scraping the tip of the iceberg with regard to government spending and overspending, that it's an important first step. And I agree, Chad Benson and I were talking during the cross. I agree with Chad that this is not the meat of the matter. This is not the main course of the entree, but it's a start. It's an appetizer. And I just take a different approach to it. Let's go. Let's get it on. Let's make it happen. Let's do what we need to do in this aspect, and then let's tackle military spending. That's not a sacred cow to me. Let's tackle Social Security. That's not a sacred cow to me, nor should it be with you. Social Security has become a boondoggle and a Ponzi scheme. And if you don't know that, it's high time you learned it. And I love you, and I appreciate each and every one of you. If this were not being run by government, if the exact same system were under the private sector, it would be investigated, it would be prosecuted, people would go to jail, and it would be eliminated. Because it is a Ponzi scheme. The premise of Social Security involves you having your money taken from your paycheck, and most Americans think that their money gets parked somewhere, and the government of the United States of America promotes that belief. You know? They promote this idea. They like for you to believe that your money goes somewhere and it just sits there and it, earns a little interest on top of it, but it's there for you when you need it, boy. how they do that is they send you these reports about what you paid in and that sort of thing and how much you'd be getting every month if you retired today versus tomorrow versus next week or next year. None of that money exists. Every penny that you pay goes to somebody else to pay for them who they're already retiring. The entire system is propped up on the idea that we'll have more people incoming to pay than we will outgoing that we owe. And sadly, that teeter-totter is tilting way in the opposite direction as we speak. So, yes, I agree that we are dealing just with the tip of the iceberg, and there's a lot of iceberg under the surface. I agree with you. Brian writes in and says, Tennessee is full. I have no idea what that's in reference to, but yes, you're right. We are still I saw this story the other day. I believe the Tennessee Star had a story on it that we are the fifth. We rank fifth last year in 2024 in growing population in the state of Tennessee. I'll look up the story and I'll let you guys guess which 4 states topped the state of Tennessee. I remember number 1, and it is a surprise. It is it's not Florida and it's not Texas. I'll go ahead and tell you.
Wow.
So it's a surprise to me. I'll look that up in just a moment. Also, in the 5 o'clock hour, just a preview of this. And I understand that this is a delicate conversation, and I'm one to have it. A Tennessee lawmaker is pushing, once again, a bill in the Tennessee General Assembly to give terminally ill patients the right to end their own lives on their own terms. The representative, and we've reached out to Representative Freeman. He's not called us back. A lot of times Democrats are afraid of talk radio. Representative Bob Freeman is sponsoring a bill to legalize medically assisted death in the state of Tennessee. I'm going to give you the details, and I'm very curious to hear your opinion on this matter, as we'll open up the phone lines in the 5 o'clock hour on that subject, 615-737-9986. It's 10 until on Super Talk. The best way to head off costly repairs, breakdowns, or even more expensive early replacement is to get your maintenance done on your heater. Now, if you've not done so and you feel like it's not running properly, you can still do it in the middle of the season by calling Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. We have many, many more cool days ahead. We've got the rest of the month of February, and March is often cool in the state of Tennessee. With that in mind, Jeff Eddy offers a tune-up plan that's only $125, never more, no matter how many residential units you might have on your property. $125 is the cap, and oftentimes it's quite less than that. Jeff Eddy also keeps overhead down by never invoicing you for overtime on weekends or in the evenings. He just doesn't do that. He knows that your heater doesn't know what time it is, so why should you pay more because it's 7 o'clock at night versus 2 o'clock in the afternoon? When it comes time, don't you worry. When it comes time to replace, Jeff Eddy is an Elite Pro partner with Rheem, and he can assist you in selecting the right heating unit for you, the right AC for you, for that matter. Give a call at 615-784-4424, 784-4424, or go online to efficienthvac.net. That's efficienthvac.net. I like to say if your heater's not ready, call Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
It doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Strong words from a federal judge in Seattle about birthright citizenship. We'll let you hear it. Coming up at 5 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Yes, sir, indeed. Mr. Ken Weaver in the newsroom, Chris Weber behind the glass, Matt Murphy in your studio. Thank you for being with us. Whether you're listening on 99.7 FM, maybe in your automobile, your home, your place of business. Thank you. I think we got the transmitter worked out.
Oh, good.
I believe that's the case.
All right, so they can hear us up in Bowling Green.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Down in Huntsville.
All the way down to Huntsville, Alabama. How about that? Where they where you used to pass the big space rocket ship. You don't pass that anymore.
Mm-mm.
I heard that.
I wonder what they did with it.
Well, I know more about that story than I probably should, just being from Alabama, being in Alabama for so long. That was an actual rocket that was used at Huntsville Space and Rocket Center.
Mm-hmm.
It was not designed to be outside for 40 years.
Yeah, I imagine it.
And so it got beat up and degraded to the point that it was just, it was bad. So they took it down thinking that nobody would get mad about it. Because, that's what government officials do. We'll just take it down. But they were redoing the entire rest area, and they took it down as a result. And a lot of people got very annoyed that they took it down. And so I think the plan is now to put something back up. Some more modern rocket or I hope they don't do a replica. That would be kind of silly. It's got to be the real deal, right? I
mean, if it looks like the real thing, I'd be okay with a replica. If it was like maybe out of fiberglass or something that would hold up better.
I don't know. For me, it's just I get exactly what, like if it looks like the same thing, then who cares?
Because I didn't even know that it was an actual rocket that was used, and it was still cool to me.
It was cool. Have you ever been to the Space and Rocket? Either of y'all been to the Space and Rocket?
I love it.
Yeah, I did. I was in 5th grade. I think I did a field trip there.
I was. I went, and they do that space camp and all of that.
Yep.
I went when I don't know. I'd been in Tennessee for a while, or not in Tennessee, in Alabama for a while, and it's nice, but they need to spruce up the paint on some of those outside exhibits.
You talking about the one in Huntsville?
Mm-hmm.
Man.
I mean, inside it's beautiful and it's nice and it's awesome, but they have a lot of these rockets and various pieces of equipment outside.
Yeah.
And they're just getting beat up by the elements.
Yeah.
I mean, just throw a coat of paint on there on the old USA.
A lot of upkeep there.
Yeah, I guess so.
I like Huntsville.
Huntsville's a nice place.
It is.
It's a fine. You got a lot of lakes. Huntsville ought to be a part of Tennessee. Let's be honest.
Well, let's go get it.
Let's go get it.
Let's get some legislation going.
I'll tell you what. If Tennessee, let's start this.
Yeah.
So Tennessee will support Alabama taking over the panhandle of Florida if Alabama gives Tennessee Huntsville.
Yes.
That's a fair trade.
I mean, and think about it, Alabama. Sure, you're giving up Huntsville. You're giving up probably a good bit of intellectual property, if you will. But you're getting Pensacola.
I think the tourist dogs.
I mean, come on. I mean, the Redneck Riviera.
That's right. That's where that 1A is or something like that.
30A.
Right? 30A.
Oh, yeah. I think that's a good trade. So Alabama and Tennessee will gang up on Florida, take Florida's stuff, and then do a little swappy trade. I like that idea. I mean, to hell with Florida. Who needs Florida? Bunch of sinkholes. We'll be back in just... I just don't like Florida. I almost called it a dirty word. Here's Ken Weaver before I get in trouble.
Five o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Taking a look at radar here. We've got some very heavy rain over Gallatin right now, but most of the heavy rain is in southern Kentucky. We just got scattered light to moderate showers for the most part across north middle Tennessee. Just that heavy part right there at Gallatin. Now, the issue is we are under the gun for the risk of severe weather. We're about a level 2 out of 5 risk all the way to 9 o'clock, so we'll be keeping an eye on it for you. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Well, a federal judge in Seattle has again blocked the Trump administration's efforts to end birthright citizenship. We get more from Jeff Pajola.
U.S. District Judge John Kuhnauer, a Reagan appointee, issued a preliminary injunction barring the administration from denying citizenship to the children of immigrants. And he was particularly harsh in his criticism, saying, quote, "It has become ever more apparent that to our president, the rule of law is but an impediment to his policy goals," end quote. The hearing lasted less than 20 minutes, and the injunction applies nationwide. The Trump administration has said it plans to appeal.
The NCAA has officially banned trans athletes from women's sports just one day after President Trump signed the No Men in Women's Sports Executive Order. The governing body of college sports' new participation policy states that a student athlete assigned male at birth may not compete on a women's team. And a federal judge in Massachusetts blocking the Trump administration federal employee buyout offer.
The White House is framing the judge's decision as an extension of the deadline. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said in a statement, the White House hopes more federal workers will take the administration up on the offer. But the judge's order pauses the buyout program through at least Monday, which means the administration is now temporarily prevented from moving forward to process those who've already accepted the offer. More than 40,000 federal workers have done that, and Leavitt said Thursday afternoon the White House expected that number to increase.
When the Rutherford County School Board meets tonight, they're going to vote on a resolution to ban DEI practices district-wide.
Some say that's not necessary since the district is already DEI-free. Here's board member Caleb Tidwell.
I've been told that Rutherford County is not implementing this practice. But since we're not implementing it, I think it's best to do away with it in case it were to be brought up in the future.
He says DEI is enshrined at the state level, and his resolution makes sure it doesn't trickle down to Rutherford County. But fellow board members don't seem to be supportive.
I get what you're trying to do. I want to support what your intention, but it's not going to go anywhere right now.
Another board member said they understand where Tidwell is coming from, but they don't see a need to push against DEI without a similar bill being proposed to fight against it at the state level. Joan Jones, WTN News.
That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Woodbine got a crash blocking the left lane, 440 eastbound at Nolensville Pike. In Rivergate, a stalled vehicle blocking the center lane, 65 northbound, right before Vietnam Veterans Boulevard. And in Rural Hill, police reporting a crash 24 westbound right before Bell Road. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, hello, friends. Welcome back. 6 minutes after the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN and all throughout the Central Time Zone. We thank you for being around with us. Whatever time you're able to give us, I'm certainly appreciative of that. I'm your humble host, here for the duration until 7 o'clock, or they boot me off the radio, whichever comes first. Thank you for being a part of the show, and you're invited to be a further part by dialing us up, 615-737-9986. We have nincompoops in the news coming up at 5:37, unless I forget about it. And sometimes I do, and I sincerely apologize, mostly to Ken Weaver, who always wins these things, slightly to a less degree, Chris Webber, who sometimes wins. I never win.
Yeah, it's rigged. I'm convinced of it.
I'm pretty convinced that
fixed.
Weaver has his finger on the pulse of this listening audience. I'll tell you that.
Yep.
Well, it's called ballot harvesting, boys.
It's a gift. It really is a gift. And also you cheat. That's how you do it. Hey, I like this. So we were talking, we had our idea that if we let Alabama take the panhandle from Georgia, or rather from Florida,
Yeah.
then we can take Huntsville. One of our listeners, 9593, has it even better. I mean, I don't know if it's a better idea. I don't know how I feel about it.
Okay.
All right. So you ready? 3-way trade. Chattanooga to Georgia. Columbus to Alabama.
Ooh.
And Huntsville to Tennessee. See, I don't know if I want to give up Chattanooga.
Yeah. They got a neat little train over there
Yeah,
on the
I
river.
I like Chatty. And I don't think Columbus going to Alabama would ever work, because that's where I'm from.
Oh, are you from Columbus? I didn't realize that.
Thereabouts.
Yeah?
Yeah. Pretty much.
And Columbus folks, they don't like Phoenix City folk.
No. Not really.
That's trash across the river.
Exactly.
I remember that. The big question is, who's taking Memphis? Anybody? Anybody?
No taker.
Anybody? Arkansas? Y'all ready? Mississippi? Anybody? No takers.
Well, what about Missouri?
Y'all get Graceland? Graceland's nice. You can have it. Peabody Hotel, Ducks. Huh?
Yeah, ducks follow you up the stairs or something.
Have y'all ever seen that?
I've seen video of it.
That's the Peabody, right?
Peabody Hotel, I've seen
Peabody
it.
Hotel,
It's actually pretty cool. I mean, the ducks actually live on the roof, and they go and they get them. They have a roost, and they go and there's a guy who's kind of a bellhop, I guess. I mean, is that what you call him now?
He's the duck whisperer.
He's the bellman. He's whatever. He's the guy that he gets in the elevator and he goes up, and then he comes down. And all of the ducks, you can either watch this from or you used to be able to go on the roof and see that part of it, and then you could go down and see the other part at a different time. But you watch them, and he opens the door, and they all just in a row. They just get on the elevator. And they take them down into the grand, area where the check-in, the front desk and everything is. And they have a big old fountain. And they get off the elevator, and they walk and they get in the fountain. And spend some time with that. I mean, for a duck, that's got to be a pretty good living.
Oh, yeah, they got it made.
Sure.
Yeah.
Until they, look at the menu of the restaurant, the hotel. A l'orange. I'm saying, so you get the Peabody Hotel, you get Graceland, and you get... Well, what else does Memphis have, fellas?
They got real good food.
Got that pyramid with the Bass Pro Shops in it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, got a big old pyramid over there.
They played basketball in it for a minute, right?
Yeah, really weird.
And then they moved the but they didn't build the pyramid for the basketball. It was just like a convention space.
Is that what it was?
I think.
I don't know. I don't remember. I just always thought it was very strange.
It's a very odd deal.
Yeah.
And they couldn't figure out what to do with it, so they put a Bass Pro in there.
And that's even kind of strange. You
Have
look
you
around.
been?
Oh, yeah. You get in there, and it's a Bass Pro Shop, but then you start looking up, and you're like, what? This is just odd. It's very tall.
Pyramid structure.
Yeah.
Oh, well, they have Gus's Fried Chicken. I mean, Memphis actually, for all the hell we give Memphis.
Beale Street,
They got Beale Street.
They got great music.
And great music coming out of Beale Street. You need to hold on to your wallet after dark because there's folks there that want some money.
Mm-hmm.
They've got that. A Rendezvous, dry rub ribs. That's pretty good.
Ooh. Oh,
and the best fried chicken. And listen, I know my grandmama's listening in heaven, and I love her to death. And that woman could cook. But the best fried chicken I've ever put in my mouth was at Gus's Fried Chicken on the river in the Cinder Block building, the original Gus's in Memphis, Tennessee. So good.
I'm going to have to stop just driving through Memphis and stop.
I mean,
and do something.
And have you ever been to Graceland, Ken?
Yes. Loved it. It was before all of the commercial stuff started coming in, too, which, from what I understand, his granddaughter Riley has stopped all of that.
Has she now?
Good.
Yeah.
Wait, you mean you went to Graceland before they commercialized Elvis?
Yeah, well, before, I think there's a hotel there now.
Across the street, they've got the Lisa Marie. And
I got there before all that. It was really cool.
We went, and I didn't realize this, just a quick story. My father was in radio sales, and he was on air. He was a program director, but he also sold for the radio station. And before he left when I was 6. So this is probably when I was about 5 years old. This would have been the year after they had just opened the grounds, Graceland, that was not open, the house.
Yeah.
But they opened the property so you could go and see Elvis's grave. They moved him from the city cemetery back to Graceland.
Mm-hmm.
And I might have the timing off on this just a little bit, but I know this, that we never took trips anywhere because we didn't have the money to take trips. But suddenly we had the money to take a trip to Graceland. And I don't really remember a lot of it because I was just that age where I don't remember it. My brother and my sister remember a little more of it. And there are a few pictures of me outside, and there's pictures of the grave. And we found out later on that my dad, who was not a very good person, had fudged the book. He had sold some radio advertising that he didn't bother to tell his bosses about and ran the commercials anyway. and
just put that money right on in the pocket.
Well, got to fund that trip. I mean,
Go see the home of the king.
Elvis is dead. I don't feel so good myself. We got to go. So I saw it then, and then we went back later. And you can get if for nothing else, the realization that life has changed a lot since the 1970s.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, but
today, even more so, I'm sure it's just like really stark.
It's just a house.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a house.
Yeah. No, it's not.
I remember that as a kid, and I was probably less than 10 when I saw it, and I even thought it then. This was back in the early 90s. I thought this was a mansion. It's just a big house. It looks like a funeral home or something would be here.
I like that jungle room.
The jungle room's nice.
Cool. Back in the day, that was pretty cool having all those TVs.
Oh, well, yeah, you had 3 TVs in the wall. You know why? Because he wanted to watch all the channels.
That's right.
All 3 of the channels.
Yeah. All 3. And he had the that's in the yellow leather bar areas in there, and the TVs are in there, and over in the corners, the stereophonic hi-fi.
Yeah.
Put your old record player in there. Oh, yeah, and then you go down in the jungle room, and he had the red phone in the kitchen.
Yeah.
That he could call down and order up anything he wanted to eat at any point.
Sonny, come on.
Give me one of them peanut butter nana sandwiches.
Fried up real nice.
I like the stories of whenever he tried. I don't know if they're true or not, but stories of whenever he became deputized or something and tried to arrest people. Is that true?
Yes.
It has to be.
I know that this is true. when the iconic picture of him and Nixon, Richard Nixon, and Richard Nixon was going through it. I think this is around the time Watergate was starting or whatever. The White House had no idea that Elvis just showed up at the White House. He just showed up.
And you can't turn away the king.
And the guy's like, Mr. President, Elvis Presley's here. Oh, Elvis Presley. Who's that? And so they're like, we kind of need to. We need the good publicity. We can't have the headline: Nixon refuses to see the king. And so, no offense to you, Presley lovers. My mama was the biggest Elvis fan on planet Earth. But, I mean, Elvis, who's probably whacked out of his gourd on pills, he comes in and says he wants one of them DEA badges. And they give him a badge. And
I bet he had a gun on him when he said it, too.
I bet he did. I bet he did.
Probably walked right into the Oval Office with that gun, too.
Oh, what's up? We've got to stop these drugs. I mean, that was the thing. That was apparently the big topic of conversation, is that Elvis wanted to help Richard Nixon with his war on drugs while on drugs.
Well, I've heard a story where he showed up at a crime scene here in Nashville one time.
Really?
What? Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's true or not.
Karate chop.
But, I mean,
He wanted to know if it was it drug related.
Elvis didn't have any jurisdictional lines. He just
I got a badge. Got something to do with it. Let's go.
Well, I mean, who's going to turn you away? Who's going to say, no, Elvis, you need to leave? It's Elvis.
I mean, and, the whole thing, and I don't know if there's any truth to him being some sort of level in karate, but from what I've seen, I think they were just handing him belts.
Probably not.
Elvis wants a brown belt guy. I'll give him a brown belt, whatever. Oh, yeah, you're a 3rd-degree black belt, Elvis. Sure. Oh, my goodness. You flipped me, Elvis.
Anything you want, E.
Whatever you say, E. You got it. Where's E? He's on the toilet. It's 17 after the hour. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The best Elvis movie ever was Bubba Hotep. Oh.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Did you ever watch it?
I did not.
Oh,
I got to watch it.
You want me to bring you the DVD?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I need to make sure that I have a DVD player at the house, though, before you do that.
Well, here's the thing, dude.
I might find it on the Netflix.
It's also got John F. Kennedy in it.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not dead. They're not dead.
Okay.
This will tell you where they wound up.
We've had this conversation before, and I'm telling you, according to the documentary that I saw, Elvis is alive in California, and he still has his pink Cadillac.
Oh, wait till you see Bubba Hotep.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to it. All right, so on a more serious vein, several of you are wanting to comment on this, and I want to get your reaction to it. It is a different sort of conversation. It's a delicate conversation, and I recognize that. Representative Bob Freeman is sponsoring a bill to legalize medically assisted death in the state of Tennessee, allowing physicians to prescribe life-ending medication to terminally ill patients with 6 months or less to live. Freeman has introduced similar legislation over the years, last year to be particular or precise, and it failed to advance out of committee. Currently, obviously, medically assisted death is illegal in the state of Tennessee. It is considered a Class D felony. It is, however, legal in 10 states and Washington, D.C. It is my understanding that that Bob Freeman has some personal reasons why this is so very important to him, and several of you have indicated that on the super text line. Without going into that, we've invited Representative Freeman on the show to be with us regarding this proposal. Under the proposal, a patient would qualify for end-of-life medication only if a physician diagnoses them with a terminal illness and determines they have 6 months to live or less. They are of sound mind and voluntarily make the request, and they submit a written and signed request written by 2 individuals. The bill also includes informed consent requirements. A physician could order counseling by a licensed psychologist or psychiatrist if needed. Patients would also have the right to rescind their request at any point. Opponents of the legislation, and I'm reading here from the Fox 17 article, argue that the bill would devalue human life, weaken trust in doctor-patient relationships, discourage efforts to relieve suffering, and deny loved ones the chance to provide care. They also point out the rare but real possibility that a terminally ill patient could outlive their prognosis. Freeman, however, says, we give the same dignity in death to our pets. Other states allow this, and I think it's time for Tennessee to step up. He added that he's spoken to many physicians, particularly at Vanderbilt University. I've gotten a bunch of phone calls from citizens across the state who watch a grandmother or a spouse spend the last few months of their life in horrible pain. Freeman is hopeful the bill will get further this year, but the path forward remains uncertain. Obviously, here's the deal, folks. I don't know that this is going anywhere in the state of Tennessee without some serious activity on the part of the people of the state of Tennessee. I think left to their own devices, the conservative majority in the General Assembly is not going to touch this thing. But here's what I know. I know in the real world, when you're talking about specifically terminally ill people, and I just have a hard time understanding how the same state that says that it is impermissible to end one's suffering if you desire, if your personal spiritual beliefs allow it, if your personal and I understand it's a very personal thing when it comes to your religious beliefs, and I understand that many of us have faith-based beliefs that would preclude suicide of any sort, even with terminally ill people. I just disagree with a government that's big enough to tell someone who is terminally ill and in debilitating pain that the government knows better. Secondarily, and just as an aside, I find it ironic that the same state that says that you cannot do that will not offer everything that God gave us on this earth to alleviate some of that suffering. And I'm talking about marijuana, medical marijuana. I have long been an advocate for medical marijuana because I have seen its efficacy in the suffering that patients have through debilitating, life-threatening, or terminal illness, through chemotherapy and other types of illnesses that obviously are alleviated through, and the studies are robust, and it's almost unarguable that there is medical benefit to cannabis. I understand the people that are concerned that it turns into a gateway to recreational marijuana, and you don't want recreational marijuana in the state of Tennessee, and that's all well and good. But I just find it ironic. The same state that says that we're not going to allow you to make certain decisions about how to alleviate your suffering also will not permit you to utilize everything at your fingertips to potentially alleviate your suffering. I just don't believe that the government should be that big. 615-737-9986. If you have a thought on the matter, it's 23 after the hour. The Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief is located in Franklin. We talked about pain just moments ago, sometimes debilitating pain. In your hips, in your back, in your neck, in your elbow, in your knees. Obviously, these things can put you down, folks. And if you are experiencing pain and you're looking for a more natural way to deal with it, what about a chiropractic care center along the lines of the Dr. Gill Center? For the last 30-plus years, they've been offering incredible chiropractic care. Plus, they bring the most modern technologies available to their patients in the form of spinal decompression, red light therapy, the Class 5 laser system, and so much more, like e-stim therapy as well. You don't have to settle for a clinic that doesn't put you first. I want you to choose the place that listens. Choose the place that cares. Choose the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief. Go to 615-882-4838 on your telephone. That's 615-882-4838. Or callmepainfree.com. That's callmepainfree.com. And remember, I am not just a spokesperson. I am a client of the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief.
The Guaranteed Offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
A federal judge in Seattle has some stern words for President Trump on birthright citizenship. This story and more coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm currently getting schooled on a number of fronts. I'm being told by multiple people that the original Gus's Chicken is in Mason, Tennessee. My sincerest apologies. It was my understanding that Gus's has branched out. I'm just talking about. I thought the original was in Memphis, so I apologize. This is just an old cinder block building, kind of near the pyramid. It's in an area real close to the river in Memphis. That's all I'm talking about. It was a cinder block building. That's all. And we went in. We had delicious chicken. So if the original was in Mason, I sincerely apologize. I also sincerely apologize for my absolutely awful Elvis impersonation, which I'm being told sounds more like Johnny Bravo than Elvis. And I don't even know who Johnny Bravo is, and I agree.
I think Johnny Bravo was kind of basing his little, his way of speaking on Elvis, though.
And Matt, this is, Dakota writes in and says, Matt's crackhead Elvis impersonation just sounds like Johnny Bravo. And to that I say, thank you. Thank you very much.
That is kind of Johnny Bravo. Yeah.
Well, I didn't say I had a good Elvis impersonation. You just know who it is. Anyway, I'll tell you what. We will get one in here before we say hello to Ken Weaver in the newsroom and get some headlines. Tamara is on the line regarding medical marijuana. Hello, Tamara. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, thank you.
Good. No, I was just going to comment. There's a lot of stuff out there right now that's actually legal, which I know a lot of people probably use for recreation. But for people that are terminally ill or have family members that are, there is stuff out there that's legal now that you can get to help those patients. And I'm actually a nurse, so I'm just trying to weigh in.
Well, you're saying
THCA and
right.
The THCA stuff, the THCP stuff, and all that stuff from what I've seen in patients actually does really work. It does tend to help pain, anxiety,
Yes, and some of these are you referring to kind of some of the over-the-counter, the gummies that we see? And
Yeah, there's gummies, and I mean, there's different things. I've seen tinctures. I had one patient that used the tincture, and it was really seemed to help her a lot.
Well, I would like to say that, and thank you, Tamara. I mean, you're exactly right. There are items that you can find in the state of Tennessee that have a level of efficacy. I'd like to believe, and I think this is true, that I was helpful or instrumental in helping get Alabama's CBD oil bill passed. I remember distinctly that the gentleman, a good friend of mine, by the way, by the name of Dustin Chandler, who went down and just campaigned tirelessly, did so because his daughter had a very rare malady, a brain malady called CDKL5, which caused consistent seizures in her brain and prevented brain development. And she had upwards of 200 little mini seizures a day. I mean, and it would just absolutely prevent her brain from being able to focus on anything else. And Dustin came to me along with a lawmaker, a Democrat lawmaker, and said, "Hey, we want your help in advancing this." And I said, "It's an election year, fellas, and there's zero chance that you're going to get any of this passed in an election year. It has to do with medical marijuana. You're not going to get it done." And I said, "I'll help you. I'll do anything I can to help you, but it ain't happening." Well, Dustin was a police officer, by the way, so he was perfectly positioned as a law enforcement officer. And he went down with his daughter and wheeled his daughter around in her wheelchair and went to door and said, "I need you to tell me in front of my daughter why you're not in favor of this medication." And he got it done in an election year in Alabama. And once that test study went into effect at UAB Hospital in Birmingham, her 200 seizures a day went down to less than 20. That's how effective it was, giving her brain a chance to rest. I've seen the impact over and over and over again, and I see the effects. And I understand the dangers. I understand the dangers of opioids as well. That doesn't mean that we don't use them for the good. I'm very late. It is 32 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now, we are tracking the risk for severe weather here in Middle Tennessee. Looks like we've got a level 2 out of 5 risk until about 9 o'clock tonight. Right now, radar showing some areas with heavy rain, possible storm activity. Right now, east of Gallatin and then right there near Goodlettsville. Looks like we've got pretty heavy showers falling there. So most of the heavy stuff is north of 40 and in southern Kentucky for now. An update on President Trump's efforts to end birthright citizenship. Here's Jeff Polgila.
U.S. District Judge John Kuhnauer has issued a preliminary injunction, meaning the Trump administration cannot deny citizenship to children born on American soil of immigrant parents.
Birthright citizenship is a fundamental constitutional right.
In his ruling, Judge Kuhnauer, who was appointed by Ronald Reagan, took the president to task.
The rule of law is, according to him, something to navigate around or simply ignore, whether that be for political or personal gain.
The administration says it plans to appeal.
The Justice Department is suing the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago over their sanctuary policies that the lawsuit says is obstructing law enforcement and their mission to carry out immigration laws. By the way, Border Czar Tom Homan says out of about 14,000 arrests so far, around 76% of them were criminals, as targeted by the deportation policy. And here in Tennessee, over at the state capitol, a new bill filed by 2 Nashville Democrats in the General Assembly would legalize marijuana and use taxes from it to fix potholes. The House sponsor is Afton Bain.
Every year we hear bills in the legislature to legalize recreational marijuana, but there hasn't really been a definitive and creative way to tell you where that money is going.
Heidi Campbell's the Senate sponsor. Someone backed an SUV into the Smyrna Vape 101 shop along Almaville Road this morning, busting out windows and doors. 2 people in the vehicle got out, stole several items, then drove away. Employees tell Channel 4 why they think stores like theirs being targeted.
We've seen that locally. It's happened in Nolensville, in Nashville. I think they're just targeting these stores because of the amount of merchandise we carry, and B, the price tag on what we do carry, and it's easily resellable anywhere else.
Police found the white Cadillac SUV used in the smash and grab, but not the suspects. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, Clarksville got an injury crash, 24 eastbound approaching Wilma Rudolph Boulevard. In Woodbine, got a crash blocking the right shoulder, 440 eastbound at Nolensville Pike. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Stoltz Co.'s so good at what they do. Love talking about this company. Love talking about what they can provide you on your property. If you've got a little land and you're thinking about doing something with it, maybe you want to put up a nice shed, perhaps a man space or even a she shed, which is very delicate to say on the radio. I would invite you to go over to StoltzCo.com and find out what they can do for you. They got barn dominiums, they got pole barns, they got garages, equestrian spaces, and event spaces, anything for anyone that if you have an idea, let's put it this way, they can do it. Their process is simple. They believe in making the development process as smooth as possible. They're so good at what they do. You can see some of the incredible designs that they have on their website, and I'll give that to you in just a moment. But they go from the initial conceptualization to the final launch. You'll work with a dedicated project manager at Stoltz Co. who will guide you through every stage of the process, from drafting and design, excavation, site prep, foundation work, exterior framing, exterior sheathing, interior framing, all done by Stoltz Co.'s qualified personnel and your own project manager. A future home to retire in, someplace for the in-laws, you can do it with Stoltz Co. Go to STOLTZCO.com. That's StoltzCo.com or call 615-622-5992. Tell them I sent you to Stoltz Co.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about Spice and Easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
You are invited to offer your thoughts on the issue of assisted termination of life in the state of Tennessee, which is a very heavy topic. It's very odd to go back and forth between something like nincompoops in the news to that. So I'm going to suspend those calls until we do a little nincompoops in the news, and then we'll get back to that subject matter a little bit later on in the show. Plus, medical marijuana has been a hot topic on the super text line as well as on the phone line, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. We've got a lot of heavy things to get into. I'll update you on Flag Talk from yesterday, which we discussed regarding Camping World. There's also a Tom Homan update I want to get into. The judge a federal judge, has delayed the buyout that Donald Trump was attempting to do. We've got an update on that as well. But right now, we like to pause on a daily basis, or at least when I remember to, and suspend the real news for just a moment and look around our great state of Tennessee, the southeast region of the United States of America, the entire country, nay, the world, and the three of us, Ken Weaver, Chris Webber, and Matt Murphy, we find the nincompoops, ladies and gents. And we deliver them to you. The biggest dilemma that I have on a daily basis when it comes to nincompoops in the news is to figure out who goes first. Because I don't want to usurp anyone that really, really wants to go now, but at the same time, and I don't know. So what do you think, men? It's our segment. It's not my segment. It's our segment.
Well, it can't be me because I'm still looking.
Oh, I got one. I got two. I'll give you one of mine, Ken, and I guarantee it'll beat the other one.
Yeah, that's not fair.
Wait a minute. I got one from yesterday. I'll dig that back up.
I want. Mean. That's mean. That's my job to be mean. Y'all see what he did there? Ken very politely reminded me that I completely forgot about nincompoops in the news. I don't know what happened.
I'm using the one from yesterday as well.
Well, I got two. I've got one from yesterday and one I found today. Y'all want...
you can only pick one.
Well, I get it. I can't do two. All right. Well, I'll go first then. All right.
Bring your best stuff.
Can I ask the audience... Or can I ask you I'll just say two words from each story, and you tell me which story you want? Is that fair?
That sounds good to me.
All right. Story number one is police. Well, it's three words. Police probe poaching. All right. That's story number one.
Okay.
Story number two is banana battery.
Well. You got me at banana battery.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. That was kind of the one I was leaning toward.
Let's
anyway.
do that one, Brother Murphy.
A 7-Eleven customer used a banana to batter a store clerk, according to Florida police.
Oh, Florida.
See, I got to check Florida.
And now, Ken, you got a pen in there?
Yeah.
You got a pen in there, Chris?
Yeah.
I want y'all to write this down, and I want you to give it a go. The woman's first name is spelled CALTAEVIYA.
What? Caltavia?
Say that again, Brother Murphy.
CALTAEVLYA.
Oh, LYA.
Her last name is Turner. We're going to refer to her as Ms. Turner.
Yeah, that's the best course of action.
Because I don't, that's got way too many vowels.
The V and the L back to back are just befuddling.
Yeah.
And for me, it's the V and the L right after the A and the E. That I don't know what to do with the last. I hope that everybody calls her Calt, because I don't know what to do with the last half of her first name. Anyway, Ms. Turner is 22 years of age.
All righty.
She got into a verbal altercation with the 30-year-old female worker, and the women exchanged what was described in the police report as, quote, derogatory comments toward one another. At one point, Turner, quote, became irate, picked up a banana from the cashier counter, and threw the banana at the victim's face. The elongated airborne fruit struck the employee on the cheekbone and left a minor abrasion. Investigators noted that the banana was not seized from the scene as evidence. Turner was arrested for battery and booked into the county jail on the misdemeanor count. Police records indicate that Turner's employer at the time was Baby Dolls, a Clearwater gentleman's club located 4 miles from the 7-Eleven. Turner,
Baby Dolls,
being held with, that's 2 in a row, by the way, 2 in a row for me on strip clubs. Turner's being held without bond for violating probation in connection with the grand theft conviction in a neighboring county. She apparently has had altercations with the law in the past. Turner was also recently arrested for resisting and giving cops a false name when they responded to a trespass call at Baby Dolls.
She gave him a false name because they couldn't figure out her real name.
Maybe
That's probably what it was.
Maybe so.
Innocent, honest.
Oh, yeah, I mean, right. Yeah. I mean, she can't pronounce her own name. I just feel like maybe she's accustomed in her line of work of seeing a lot of bananas. And so she just thought to grab one and throw it.
Fling it.
Fling it. There's my nincompoop of the day. Mr. Weber?
All right, I'll go next. I found this one at WTOC out of Savannah, Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
Back in November, Savannah man did what, most of us do during the holiday season every year. He bought something online. But Sylvester Franklin did not get what he paid for. He decided that it was time for some new tools, so he logged onto AliExpress, and he ordered himself a drill. Well, when the package arrived, he says, what they sent me was a picture of a drill. Just a printout of a photograph of this drill that he thought he was purchasing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he ordered a drill from AliExpress. He got a printed photo of the drill, but it gets worse. He also paid $22.47 for a pressure washer, which, that could have been your first clue.
Cheap pressure washer.
And what he received was a screw. Just a little, a little screw, a little fastener.
Somebody got screwed.
Yeah, exactly. Might have been telling him something there. And since then, Mr. Franklin had been going back and forth with AliExpress since he ordered the items in November, and he still has not received a refund. And he's not alone. Other people who have complained about AliExpress, it's a offshoot of Alibaba, which is kind of the Chinese Amazon.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
You kind of get what you pay for with these. But a lot of people also have complained with orders from this company, saying that they never received items purchased. Another saying that they were out over $400 after they were sent an item with after their item was sent with a fake tracking number, and it was never delivered to them. In all the instances, shoppers said they tried to get their money back, but none of them did until they reported their stories to police. Franklin says he's tried to get his money back from AliExpress and tried to get a charge back from his bank without success. And he says he only spent around $40, but he wants others to take a lesson from his story that a picture may be worth 1,000 words, but not worth the $40 that he paid.
Send me a picture of what I'm buying.
I mean, technically, he's looking at a photograph. He gets the photograph. It kind of reminds me vaguely of the story in England of the guy that got a photograph of his license plate, and they wanted money for speeding or running a light or something. And so he sent them a photograph of money.
Oh, nice.
Right? So it was like a police department. They sent him a photograph of his license plate saying, you owe us this for running this red light. So he sent them a photograph of money. And so they responded by sending him a photograph of handcuffs.
Yeah.
Well.
And so he promptly paid the bill.
Yeah.
No, I like that. Mr. Weaver, your story, sir.
I found one, boys. It's on the New York Post.
Oh.
Florida man dressed in Dalmatian onesie outruns...
We've already lost.
Florida man dressed in Dalmatian onesie outruns troopers, shakes off tasers before he's caught at his girlfriend's house. Police say he was easy to spot.
That's bad.
A Florida man, bizarrely dressed in a Dalmatian onesie, bolted during a traffic stop after being handcuffed on one wrist. He remained on the lam for an entire day before finally being caught at his girlfriend's house.
Was her name Cruella?
Florida Highway Patrol were in hot pursuit of 36-year-old Keith Devereaux for nearly a day after they attempted to pull him over for reckless driving. He had allegedly been driving erratically, stopping and pulling away at high speeds while dropping off a passenger. Then while running from police, Devereaux eventually rammed his truck into a tree, pulled himself from the wreckage, then kept on running in his Dalmatian onesie. He was tased by pursuing troopers, but then growled and got away. Despite being shocked, Devereaux picked a fight with the trooper, began to push and thrash against him once again, attempting to take off. And he got away then, too.
Wow.
Jeez.
Went straight to his girlfriend's home, one place authorities were almost guaranteed to check first. Troopers watched him flee through the forest while they waited for backup. Once the canine unit got there, the real dog took off after Devereaux, who had turned up at his girlfriend's home, and he wasn't able to put up a fight anymore with the real dog there on the scene. And Devereaux was booked for reckless driving, fleeing, assault of law enforcement, resisting with violence, and his girlfriend alluded to the night before, as his girlfriend had alluded to the night before, possession of, guess what? Methamphetamine.
Well, there you go.
There you are.
That explains the Dalmatian onesie.
Yeah, there's a fire hydrant joke in here somewhere. I can't find where it is, but there's one in there somewhere.
I just like how it took a dog to take him into custody.
Oh yeah, you know.
I mean, he was hopped up on meth.
One of his own. By the way, would you loyal listeners of the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN who enjoy nincompoops in the news mind if you let Ken finish his story before you start voting for him?
Yeah, see?
It's
rigged.
You know what I'm
Telling
saying?
you.
I mean, before you even done, Ken.
It's ballot harvesting.
Well, it's a Dalmatian onesie. They didn't have a banana, though. I know that. There it is. There's nincompoops in the news. Vote as you will for Ken Weaver, I suppose. 615-737-9986. If you like bananas to the face, you're going to want to vote for this guy right here. It is 9 until the top of the hour on Super Talk. Daily Dan poll, is that similar to like a stripper poll? Is that what we're doing now in the corner of the room? Anyway, let's talk about U.S. Pest for just a moment, guys and gals. If you're a decision maker when it comes to protecting your home and your property, may I talk to you for a moment about pests? Because pests can not only be a nuisance, pests can be incredibly destructive in your home. Secondarily, they cause health concerns. I mean, frankly, if you have a home that is unprotected by U.S. pests, then you are putting yourself and your family at risk of health issues involving rodents, and rodent droppings, rats, mice, and things. And then, of course, there's the ever-present possibility of cockroaches and other things. And always it is a concern in terms of termites in the state of Tennessee. U.S. Pest can solve all of these things with a 100% money-back guarantee. They handle common Tennessee pests. And, oh, by the way, if you switch over from another pest control company to U.S. Pest, your first month is absolutely complimentary. That's about a $200 value. They do that to say thank you. And I would encourage you to do that to demonstrate the superior quality of pest control offered by U.S. Pest. Call 590-1260 to make that switch today, 590-1260, or go online to uspest.com. Call my friends J.K., Erica, and the rest of the team at U.S. Pest.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Pot for potholes. Details coming up at 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I love our super texters. I love our listening audience, and I appreciate all of you. Becky writes in, by the way, Ken won, and it's not even,
I didn't
even close. Dalmatian onesie man just went ahead and
on meth.
Took care on meth. But our listeners, man, 5601, police should have called, they should have called animal control instead of police. That's 4504. That dude was on puppy uppers. and then my favorite, did Ken say that guy was fleeing the police?
I
did. He did. He said he was fleeing the police.
Oh, man, I should have taken credit for that. I can't now.
9945 said he got away when he attempted to hump the trooper's leg. Probably.
Sometimes you just got to let him go, Clark.
Well, you know.
Best you just let him finish.
Just best. When he gets going. I used to be a drop for one of my shows. When he gets going at you, it's best to just let him finish. George is next up. Hey, George.
Hey, man, how you doing?
I'm great, George. I hope you are.
Oh, not too bad. Right off the bat, I'd like to talk about the school choice bill that they're trying to pass in Tennessee.
Already passed it.
All right, well, never mind then.
I mean, George, I wasn't trying to shut you down. I just, you were saying they passed it.
All right.
I mean, we can still talk about it. I don't think the governor signed it quite yet.
Well, I'd like to talk about a couple arguments I have against it.
Okay. Hey, would you do me a favor, George, though? Because I can tell. I want to talk with you. I want to have comfort in this conversation. But you just have to hold on because Ken Weaver's got the news coming up in about 40 seconds. Can you hold through the news?
Fine.
Okay, let's do that.
Yes.
And we'll talk about the ins and outs of school choice and whatever else George wants to talk about. I'm interested. I'm interested in your call as well. 615-737-9986. Medical marijuana, let's go. If you want to talk about the ability, the right to die bill in the state of Tennessee, we can do that as well. Plus, an update on Flag Talk from yesterday. No, we haven't heard back from Lamonis, whatever his dadgum name is. I don't know. Maybe he is a Trump hater, like they called him at the Tennessee Star. If he's not, he'll call us back. We got money for him. We got fine money for him. Don't you want fine money, Camping World? One more hour to go on Super Talk.
Six o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and we are still tracking the potential for severe weather here in Middle Tennessee. Now, we've already got some areas where there are some storms dumping some heavy rain. Nothing severe right now. Clarksville looks like you're about to get another round, and there's one east of Nashville, north of Cookeville. That is a particularly large area of heavy rain there. The rest of it is just light to moderate rainfall, but again, until about 9 o'clock tonight, we're under this level 2 out of 5 risk of any storms popping up going severe. Right now in Tennessee, a new bill filed by 2 Nashville Democrats in the General Assembly would legalize marijuana, tax it, and use that money to fix potholes. Here's Channel 4's Dryden Quigley.
Representative Afton Bain had the idea last month that if the state was going to legalize marijuana, it should benefit everyone. So she created Pot for Potholes. It would tax marijuana sales at 15%, then that money would go into the highway fund.
Every year we hear bills in the legislature to legalize recreational marijuana, but there hasn't really been a definitive and creative way to tell you where that money is going.
Heidi Campbell is the Senate sponsor. Justice Department is suing the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago over their sanctuary policies, blocking immigration agents from doing their job. And that is not all Attorney General Pam Bondi is going to be busy with, says President Trump at today's prayer breakfast. She says Bondi's going to head up the Religious Freedom Commission to eradicate what he calls anti-Christian bias.
The mission of this task force will be to immediately halt all forms of anti-Christian targeting and discrimination within the federal government, including at the DOJ, which was absolutely terrible, the IRS, the FBI, terrible, and other agencies.
College sports, the NCAA officially banning men from competing in women's sports just one day after President Trump's No Men in Women's Sports executive order was signed. And Stephen Portnoy has the new development on Trump administration federal employee buyouts.
In a brief hearing, Boston-based federal judge George O'Toole ordered a pause on tonight's deadline to give both the Trump administration and its opponents more time to craft their arguments. The judge directed the government to send emails to all eligible employees, advising them that the buyout is now on ice, pending the next hearing on Monday afternoon. At last check, the White House said more than 40,000 federal workers had decided to take the offer, meaning they'd immediately be placed on leave but remain on the payroll through the end of September.
All right, back to the weather for a moment. I am seeing that there is now a tornado warning for Overton, Jackson, and Putnam counties. This is going to be about 102 miles east of Nashville, part of these scattered showers and thunderstorms that continue to move east. So, again, anything that pops up right now in Middle Tennessee has that potential to go severe, and that apparently is what is happening right now. But, again, as far as Middle Tennessee is concerned, this is 102 miles east of us, and it is moving east. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, Belmont got a crash blocking the right two lanes. This is going to be 440 eastbound just after Hillsborough Pike. In Clarksville, we've got a crash. It's 24 eastbound approaching Wilma Rudolph Boulevard. Actually, two crashes in this area. Highway Patrol on the scene. Then in Antioch, got a crash blocking the center lane of 24 eastbound before Harding Place. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, final hour of our day today. Live and local conversation starts early at 5 a.m., ends late at 7 p.m. We hand off to the Mark Levin Show. I think Mark is back I think he's back tomorrow. He was out for some reason. I heard him say last week that he would be out Monday through Thursday. So either Ben Ferguson or someone else will be in for Mark Levin a little bit later on. But we've got another hour to go before we get to that. We'd love to hear from you, 615-737-9986. I always love turning a monologue into a dialogue, or if it's a dialogue, turning that into a trialogue, or a trialogue into whatever happens after that. And I'm not really sure what that is. George, I have not forgotten about you. I'm going to get to you, but I have to get to something real quick on the Matt Murphy Show. So you see who just sashayed into the studio and plopped himself down?
Sashayed?
Uh-huh.
All right.
You were definitely sashaying. In addition to Ken Weaver and Chris Webber, there is young KGB.
Yes, hello.
A.K.A. Jeff Malinoff.
Brother Malinoff.
What is
Ken, my friend, how are you?
Doing good, buddy.
Good.
I'm worried about you.
Why?
I listen.
Oh, God.
I listen.
Where are you going with this?
I listen. Any of y'all listen to Nashville's Morning News when you can? Anybody?
I do.
Anybody out there?
I do.
mean,
I'm still asleep. I don't know.
yeah.
Ken texts me from time to time.
Dan asks me often how the show went because I'll like comment on the show or I'll say something, and he asks me often, and I tell him that the show went well. I never tell him that I never hear before like 8.
Yeah. You like the cross when we have Chris Hand.
Well, I like to sleep. I stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning.
What is that like?
You don't do it.
I know. I miss it.
You're doing double duty, right?
Yeah. So for those who are talking, I am listening. I am helping out with the 3HL when they're live in New Orleans, just helping them out.
It's the Zone 104.5, our brother station next door. So they get to go to things like the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they're coming back tomorrow though, so they don't even get to see the game, which is kind of a bummer. They're just doing the Radio Row.
It's my understanding that part of Donald Trump's security detail was getting Slay out of there. That's what I heard. That's what I heard.
Well, they were in there and they were talking like it's like Fort Knox down there.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Sure it is.
And of course, the Sugar Bowl doesn't obviously made it even probably doubled it than what it was supposed to be.
That's not your lack of sleep is not why I'm worried about you. So if you missed this morning on Nashville's Morning News, it was decided. Apparently, you lost another girlfriend.
Like I'm just, I can't find her.
I mean,
she's in the woods somewhere.
I mean,
no. So I guess Ken doesn't know this. All right, for those that don't know, I should just say it. Huh?
Yeah,
what happened?
Yeah, throw it out there.
7 a.m. on Tuesday. I only see again. This girl we were just casually dating.
Stop for a second. Let's just do this easy. Let's do it in a more of a question and answer form.
Okay.
All right. So you are you're now a single man.
Yes.
And you started dating a girl.
Correct.
And how many dates you go out?
A few.
A few dates. Okay. And on Tuesday last.
Yes.
What happened?
So at 7 a.m., I get a text and just basically a long text, a breakup text, basically.
Wow.
So this young lady broke up with you.
Yeah.
I don't want to see you anymore via text message.
Yeah, and she ended it with "I wish you the best." It's like you're not an application. They're not a job application. I don't need "I wish you the best of your future endeavors" kind of thing.
I mean, I think that's nice of her.
Yeah, you know what?
Do you still have the text?
I deleted. I was pissed.
Oh, okay.
But you know what?
Hey, easy. You know what? You can get away with that baughty talk on Nashville's Morning News, but we try to run a clean show around here, pal.
Look, bottom line is, I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt. She gave me a reasonable answer. Like, she didn't want to lead me on or anything, which is fine. She said, "quote," I'm trying to remember it, but I wasn't far enough in my relationship with Jesus for her, because she was in a great path with Jesus. She was going celibacy. She was truly putting her life to Christ, which I think is great. I fully support that. I just wasn't in the place she was, I guess.
Wait. You're Jewish.
Well, yes, I'm Jewish, but I have been going to church lately. I've been
just kind of explore a relationship
exactly.
with Jesus Christ. Okay.
Just long story short, I was in a dark place. My brother said, "Come to Easter church with us," and I really enjoyed it.
Okay. So that obviously she's a religious person. So I get it. I mean, I get it.
No, it's totally reasonable.
It's all good.
I'm over it now.
All right. So we're all good with that.
Yeah.
And that turned into what?
Dan, man. So we had a little meeting, and Dan was they joked about having a dating game thing for me.
Yeah.
And they and our boss got super excited about it. He got excited, and then Dan got excited, then kind of one thing led to another. Then today, Dan sent out the call, if you will.
What, the call to what?
I guess we're gonna have like the dating game. You know, 3 girls or 3 women are gonna be here, and we're just gonna. And
I think we understand.
Then the worst part is
women.
No,
not.
Yes,
for
women.
the love.
The worst part is Dan says, so we do the Daily Dan poll. He says we're going to put a poll out for the 3 women and let the fans decide.
You people are actually still calling it the Daily Dan poll?
It's too far gone. We're too far gone.
You mean you're going to let the listeners decide
That's
who
what
you go out with?
Dan said this. I have no say in this. I'm just a lowly producer trying to make a living, you know? I have no say in this. And you know what? I have accepted it. I have accepted it.
You never know, Brother Jeff. You might find your soulmate this way, dude.
So, fun fact, though, I don't want to say anyone's names, but I did get DM'd like 10 minutes after the show saying my mom said this happened to DM you.
What?
Not even kidding. True story.
What? So some chick's trying to set you up with her mama?
No. The mom texted the mom told the daughter to DM me.
But I heard you offered some appreciation for the Cougars.
Oh no, I said the age gap I say is 21 to 45. If we're gonna do this, I'm not sorry, 60-year-old. That's my mom's age. I'm not doing it. But all due respect,
you don't have to apologize.
This is radio. You have to apologize for everything.
No. That's on Dan's show.
Yeah.
You don't have to say you're kidding, and you don't have to say you're sorry.
You never know. Well, my job is expendable.
Sorry,
Dan,
I'm just
you're
going to
it.
town on the Dating Game theme song.
But yeah, the bottom line is, I guess if we're gonna do this, I had to set up at least some ground rules. 21 to 45 is that's my gap. I mean, if we're gonna go head first into this, because apparently we're taking pictures tomorrow about this. Like
Pictures.
Well,
You're telling me if you got introduced to some smoking hot 47-year-old, you're like, nope.
Oh, sorry. Okay, well that's a whole different story. I guess it. Well, we're gonna have to.
What about a smoking hot 52-year-old?
Again, we're gonna have to.
Smoking hot.
You think they're listening?
I'm just asking. I think you're a little more loose with your parameters than you want to pretend.
Well, we'll play it by ear.
What about a smoking hot 20-year-old?
Are you? I want
and she's really, really into nerdy guys.
Are you thinking we're gonna get like 50 women applying to this? Like, no, we're gonna get
I don't think
2.
anybody's applying to it.
Yeah, 2 maybe at most if I'm lucky.
Well, here's what I know: if you are a sporting lady and you enjoy outdoor activities such as golf, Malinoff's your guy.
Yeah, I golf. I do outdoor. I work out. I have outdoor activities. You know, I do stuff outside.
Wait a minute, hold on a second. You work out?
Yes. That's how do you think I lost? I showed you my. So for those that don't know, well, this is great. No, December.
I love it.
For fun facts, December of last year, 2023, I was 200 plus pounds. I was 40 pounds overweight, and now I'm down to 165.
Oh, you look great.
That's the way to go, brother.
That's the way to get it done.
Yeah, so 165 now, thank God. And then I do probably.
But you're working out, you say?
Yes, I'm active.
That's interesting.
Mainly cardio and that kind of thing, but I'm getting into I had to lose the weight.
I'm like mean dad, and Ken is back there. He's like nice
Ken's
dad.
my buddy. Ken's the fun uncle that gives you beer at 12.
Don't give him beer, Ken. I've seen that too.
There's not enough to go around.
You have not seen me
That's
drink.
True.
Not yet, anyways.
So when are y'all doing this?
I have no idea. This is all in Dan's head, so it might be forgotten by tomorrow.
No.
You think
Dan is all about.
You think he's like 100% in on this? Like nothing else matters. Guess topics of the show. This is what he matters.
So let's get this straight one more time. You're going to play kind of a dating game.
Yes.
Applications will come in some form or fashion.
I think they're emailing Dan.
We're going to finalize the final 3 out of however many. I'm sure there's going to be
probably
plenty.
Just 3.
And then out of those 3. The audience will decide.
That's what Dan says. I think what the final say will be Dan, Chris, and Joan, which is horrifying.
Hey, Chris and Ken, which do you think would be worse? The audience picking the final person or those 3 in the morning show?
I think the audience is the better way to go for Jeff's sake.
I do too.
You really? Well, honestly, I
that's
trust.
True.
I do too.
I kind of trust Joan more than the other 2, though.
I think
Joan. Yeah.
I trust Joan, not the other 2.
Well, I don't.
Joan,
really?
No. She's
Have
been
you
great to me.
seen the way she messes around with Dan?
Yeah, but that's Dan. I don't know.
point.
You're
Very different.
You're kind of like
Me and Joan pick on him all the time.
You're kind of like Mini Dan.
Don't you dare.
I'm just.
Thank God that didn't catch on because I'm sick. I hate that.
No. I named you KGB.
I know. Thank God you did.
I'm your best buddy when it comes to your nickname because they were about to call you Mini Dan.
I know. You saved me. So we got to stop saying that word
Okay,
in case
that's fine.
because we have some people that will hold on to that.
I agree. I think you need to nudge them because I'm sure none of them are listening right now. You need to nudge them to let the audience decide because I think there will be some people that screw around with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But overall, the audience will steer
I
you
would
in the
rather
best
have my DMs open and just whoever is in there I'll interact with than this happening, to be honest. But again, I'm a team player. If this is good for the show, people are going to listen, then I'll do it. If this is a fun little segment, we'll do.
Dan would not screw around with you because Dan kind of puts himself in the position of the person that he'd be messing with, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
true.
I would not trust Chris Hand or Joan Jones as far as I could throw them.
No, Joan has been good to me. I don't trust Chris. Chris is chaotic, like neutral. You know what I mean?
And Chris could reel Dan down a dark path.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
I think you need the audience to figure this out.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I'm like I'm 50-50 on this still because again, it's kinda
whatever.
odd. But you know what? I think it'll be a fun segment, so I'm not against it.
I mean, whatever. What else are you gonna do? Sit around at home by yourself?
No,
You get a free. You get a free. Free dinner.
I had. Well, yeah. When Dan said he was going to pay for my dinner, I was like, okay, we're doing this.
Do you get to decide where to take your date?
That's what I was gonna say.
I would think. I'm thinking. I have some ideas in mind, like steakhouses, and not super
Absolutely.
expensive ones, but like.
Hey, come on now.
Let's not limit ourselves quite
Well,
yet.
Dan's not. I have to make sure Dan approves. I have to get the final say from the man, Mandis.
I mean, the man has a hot tub at his house, right? That's a man of means.
Well, there's a good place called Bricktop down.
Right.
So I have a couple ideas. Bricktop down in Cool Springs has some awesome food.
Yeah, Bricktop's is good.
Bricktop's is
That's
good.
good. You know what? You can get Sperry's.
Sperry's. I went there last week.
Yeah,
Sperry's is really good.
Great local place. The first salad bar in Nashville.
Yeah. And
I'm told.
And the steak is really good. I had a filet there. It was really good. No, I had a ribeye. That was what I had.
Here on in the afternoon portion of the live and local day on Super Talk on the Matt Murphy Show, I think I can speak for at least Chris Webber and myself. I hope Ken Weaver's on board with this, that my entire goal here is to soak Mandis's wallet for the maximum amount possible.
I mean, he opened the door. Come on.
Right?
And if I make my final decision, Bricktop, because they have the best lobster bisque I've ever had in my life. What? Lobster bisque is good.
That's just going to bring in the ladies.
I'm just laughing.
I don't know.
Steak
If
and lobster.
I'm going to go on this date, I'm going to get some good food out of it. Gosh darn it.
I will say that whole thing, I understand where the mini Dan came from. That was very Dan-esque.
Chris, help me out with it. Help your fellow producer out here, man.
Would you make a promise to me?
People say I'm more like Mac Maury, but
just
continue.
Make this promise to me.
Okay, well.
You're not more Mac Maury. And I know you want to be, but you're not.
I'm not.
You're,
I don't.
you're a little
I
more
want to be more like Jeff, but that's okay.
So you are. You're uniquely Malinoff. No question.
I'll take it.
But just do me this favor. If you do go on this date, would you please, just for me, look at this woman and say, they have the best lobster bisque I've ever put in my mouth.
When did I get a lisp?
Say it again.
Lobster bisque. Is there a lisp?
A little.
Do I have a speech impediment I never
You
knew
do
about?
not. You do
Is this
not.
like a mind-blowing
It was
moment
just
in radio history?
You said it well. You said it good.
Sorry, I like this. Again, I liked lobster bisque. I don't know what else to say.
It's obvious you were excited by that.
I mean, you were jazzed up about the lobster bisque.
Growing up, we went to Morton Steakhouse, and they had a good lobster bisque. I always thought they had the best one, but then Bricktop was really good.
Next time you're on, maybe you can give us your top 10 lobster bisques.
I only have 2.
They don't meet your
The text line is
Well,
probably.
good luck.
I
Good luck.
guarantee you right now, the text line and the chat line on YouTube is probably very cruel right now. They probably hating on me.
Yeah, sure, probably so. And there it is. There's the dating game with KGB.
Why did I stay for this?
Because I want to support my morning show compatriots. I mean, it's good.
You know, Matt, you were one of the free people. You and so many others have been great to me since I've been here, and I really appreciate it. May is going to be my 1-year anniversary here at WTN.
Jay, I could share some of these.
Are they
oh
mean?
My goodness.
How mean are they? They're probably great.
Jay says, my guess is 18 to 80 blind, crippled, or crazy. Thank you, KGB. We'll be back in a moment. Listen, like in life, in your home, you need a good, solid structural foundation. There's a reason that you hear the phrase like, is the foundation solid? Talking about just general stuff. Well, if your foundation isn't solid when it comes to your home, you've got issues. You need good foundation. You need a good waterproofing plan. And maybe you need some concrete leveling in your life. Here's the deal, folks. If your foundation is settling, if you have moisture inside of your home, if you have mold or mildew inside of your home, you need to deal with this. It's not going to go away on its own, folks. Are your bricks cracking? Are your walls bowing? Doors or windows, are they sticking? If this is the case, it's time to call USS United Structural Systems. They are the experts in home repair of this regard. They're not going to try to sell you anything. They're going to try to fix what ails your home. So I encourage you to go to USSTN.com. That's USSTN.com to find out a little bit more. They've been keeping homes stable and dry since 1994. They have almost 30,000 satisfied customers. 615-488-7855, 488-7855 for USS.
Metro Police Chief John Drake has a legislative wish list in the wake of the Antioch High School shooting. I've got that story and the day's closing money news at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, Ken Weaver. Lots of advice on the Super Text line for young KGB. Hopefully that all works out. Listen in the morning on Nashville's Morning News for more on that front. George was holding, and George, you've held far too long. My sincerest apologies for you having to hold through that fun and frivolity. George, you're on.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Well, what if I said no?
I'd hang up. And that'd be the end of it.
Yeah, but see, if you said, can you hear me, and I said no, you get it? Because how could I say no and Yeah. Anyway, yes, I can hear you. I can hear you, George.
All right, so
You get it?
school
Y'all
choice,
get it, right?
I'll make it. Yeah, I get it.
Okay.
Everybody gets it.
Okay.
I'll
Okay.
make it quick.
Okay.
Um,
All right.
People.
By the way,
their children-
before you talk, George, can I say something? I really do. I am sorry. George was kind of mad at me in the super text line for making him hold through all of this, and I apologize for that, George.
Okay.
All right. All right. All right. Go.
Sorry. People send their kids to private school for security. Keep all the riffraff out. You send all the public school kids to private schools. Granted, they get exponential amount of money for scholarships, all that. Doesn't matter. People send their kids to private school for security. You put all that other stuff in there, why would people send their kids to private school anymore?
So you're suggesting that all the kids in public school are security threats?
Davidson County, several other ones, yes. I went to private school half my life. Loved it. Had to move due to economic restraints, blah, blah, blah. Went to private school, or went to public school, Never experienced any of that in my life when I went to private school, and wish I never left it, but there's a restraint right there.
George, where are you on the Pot for Potholes program?
I'd love to talk about that, too. I'm a disabled veteran. I would love to have marijuana, but
Wow.
I cannot have it while I am a working veteran because the VA does not approve of that.
Well, George, thank you. Thank you for your service, by the way.
Yeah. Well, that would help me substantially.
Well, look it. You call me back anytime, George. I'm going to risk my radio career for agreeing to have you back on at some point because right now you are putting it in imminent danger. It's 6:30 on Super Talk.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And we are still tracking what radar indicates could be a tornado. It's about 80 miles east of Nashville, and it is moving east at about 40 miles per hour. It's going to be just north of Cookeville. Looks like the community of Allgood could be in the path of this thing. Again, this is a severe thunderstorm that has prompted a tornado warning because of rotation on radar. And again, this is for Overton, Jackson, and Putnam counties until 6:45. Again, about 80 miles east of Nashville and moving east. Got the full forecast, traffic update coming up in 5 minutes. Metro Police Chief John Drake says he wants new laws in the wake of the Antioch High School shooting and all the threats to schools that have come since.
Trying to get some legislation passed as high up as Congress, because I've talked to someone at that level, that when a person makes a post online, there's an algorithm that can pick it up and say this person wants to commit mass violence or wants to shoot a lot of people and alert local law enforcement.
Now, apparently the shooter at Antioch High School made a post around 8 o'clock in the morning that at 11 o'clock he was going to shoot people. Money News, Michelle Franzen.
Markets started to drift lower ahead of Amazon's quarterly results, but the Nasdaq and S&P turned higher at the close on earnings anticipation. The Dow lost 126 points, the S&P added 22, and the Nasdaq gained 100 points. Tapestry, the company behind Coach and Kate Spade, helped lead the market after reporting a stronger profit for the latest quarter than analysts expected. Philip Morris, the cigarette maker, rose almost 10% after raising its financial forecast. Those two companies offset losses from Ford Motor Company, which is predicting headwinds related to market factors this year. The average rate on a 30-year mortgage in the U.S. eased for the third week in a row, down to 6.89%. OpenAI is researching sites across the U.S. to build a network of data centers to power its technology.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Belmont to crash, right 2 lanes blocked, 440 eastbound after Hillsborough Pike. Then 40 westbound right before Hermitage Avenue, got a stalled vehicle blocking the right lane. And in Robertson County, we have a tractor trailer on fire. That's going to be 65 southbound at the Gallatin Cross Plains, Highway 25, exit 112. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, friends. Matt Murphy here for Eurofix. I've got exciting news. Now, you might have heard me tell you this in the past, but for those who have not, you know, Eurofix has been a growing company for the last 26 years. I mean, Aaron Stokes started his company in a barn in a backyard of a single-wide trailer, and now they have, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 locations with thousands of cars repaired every month. And I want to tell you about the latest location. That is in Mount Juliet. You know, I am a Mount Juliet resident, and I drive by Eurofix often, and I've seen this location come up. It's right across the street from Dairy Queen. Eurofix can fix your car in Franklin and 100 Oaks and Murfreesboro, Belmead, and now in Mount Juliet. Pretty cool watching this happen, and the reason it happens is simple, because Aaron Stokes does what he said he's going to do. He charges you less than the dealer. He gives you a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair. Plus, don't forget about that 15-minute no-wrench look over of your car and a diagnosis of what's going on. 844-EUROFIX. That's 844-EUROFIX. Go online to myEurofix.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thank you for being with us. My name is Matt Murphy, a chastened and humbled host. After this super text, 8787 writes, Matt, could you be any more of a classless jackass to your callers than you were to that gentleman? Losing Phil Valentine was a blow. Brian Wilson came dang close to filling Phil's mighty big shoes. Sadly, somehow he retires, and I'm stuck with you every day now on my drive. You are rude, obnoxious, and annoying. How you ever got this far in radio, I will never know. Please resign and go back to Alabama or Georgia or whatever hole you crawled out of. Tennessee conservatives don't want you here. I dare you to read this on air. I know you don't have the stones.
Wow.
At least one sentence in that message was wrong. And that has, I guess the
last one.
The last one.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
8787, thank you for listening. I sincerely appreciate that. I appreciate George's service to his country, and I appreciate his call. But I do stand by my statement that anytime he calls, I'm putting anytime anybody calls, I'm putting my radio career right there in your hands. Right there in your hands.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, you could crush me like a bug if you wanted to. But I do thank you for listening, 8787, and I hope that I bring something to the table that you like. But based on that text message, maybe not. But I'll pass that along to Brian. Brian,
doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good for me. Mark is next. Mark, I apologize for you holding on. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you? I'm ready to crush you too.
Crush me.
Whatever I might need to do. Yeah.
Crush me, my friend.
Hey, I want to get in on that dating game thing. I'm 69. I'm straight. Been married 45 years, but I could use a good surf and turf.
What about a lobster bisque? No.
No lobster bisque.
Yeah, I could do. I'm not a lobster fan. I'll go shrimp all day, any day. But yeah, I don't know if I'd do the lobster bisque. I might give it a shot though.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever had.
Since I'm not paying for it,
Hey, what is a lobster? It's like a creamy lobster soup.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
So yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll tell you this. I've never really been that much of a fan of lobster based on the price. I really haven't.
I've never been a fan of lobster based on the taste.
I'm not that big of a fan of butter. You know what I
mean? So, what do you think my chances are of getting in the dating game and maybe winning that thing?
I would give it a go. I mean, because here's the deal. If they only have 3 applicants, then you're automatically in.
That's a good point.
There you go. Plus, I'm a good, strong Christian too. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it'd just help out a little bit with his search, huh?
You sound, Mark, like a man who's after a nice dinner, and I respect that wholeheartedly.
I heard that this morning, and man, I've been itching to figure out how I can get in on this game.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't suggest that that KGB would be ungentlemanly toward you, but he might want to hold your hand on the way to the restaurant.
Maybe not, but if that's what it takes to get a good steak and some shrimp,
you're down.
He's a gamer. I love it.
A big glass of sweet tea.
Mark, I'll put you. Listen. You listen on Nashville's Morning News. They'll let you know how to. They'll let you know how to get in there. I assure you that. Michael's in Brentwood wants to talk about medical marijuana or marijuana generally. Hello, Michael.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you. Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity. I moved here with my family, with my wife and two sons from Colorado, and I lived in Colorado for 15 years. And I caught exactly the process where Colorado had kind of like a soft transition toward legalizing marijuana. And I was there when it wasn't legal. then when it was only medical marijuana, and then when they finally legalized it. And it completely changed my perspective on it. The main reason why is because, first of all, I never used it, never liked it, never had anything against it. I just don't like the smell or the taste, whatever, of it. I had a lot of friends that used, for many different reasons. But when Colorado first announced that they're going to legalize it, I was kind of against it. But at the time, I had both my kids. One of them was preschool, and the other one was already in school, And the program that Colorado did is that it's very similar to pot for potholes, right? Except that Colorado did it with their schools.
Mm-hmm.
And the huge difference that I saw in the way schools were funded and what they did with that money, which just started pouring in.
So how long, Michael, how long were you out there?
I lived in Colorado for 15 years.
Okay. And you would say it was your experience that legalizing marijuana in Colorado was a net positive, a net negative, or neutral?
It was positive.
Okay.
Overall, it was positive because it brought a lot of funds to projects that basically you could actually see and feel. So, in other words, the schools got all renovated, and there were many other programs that they could afford, which they couldn't afford before, because this is where a lot of that money went. And there were money poured into things like, repairing sidewalks and making parks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now, the funny thing is that it had its own side effects that were not as positive, In Glenwood Springs, there's this beautiful bridge where the hot springs are and all that. And a lot of the places that were selling it were down there. And you could see now, for example, people who gather and smoke pot right in front of them. And that wasn't cool, But it was a very small price to pay compared to the amount of funding that went in public projects. And
Michael, I gotta get to I'm sorry to rush you, but I think I get your point. You are supportive of the idea of marijuana, generally speaking, but I'll let you finalize the point here.
Correct. So what I'm saying is that before I saw it with my eyes, I was against it, and once I saw it work, I'm all for it. But it is dependent on how those funds are going to be managed.
Yeah,
well,
and it's not on the. And by the way, I should note that. And thank you, Michael, for the call. I'm sorry to. I tried to let you get to it there, but I've got to move on to others. It's not going to pass. I do not. And I understand as an academic exercise, we can talk about the freedoms involved in allowing for recreational use of marijuana. I don't have an issue with it because I believe in freedom. I do not support the use of marijuana except to say that I support freedom and I support individuals being able to do with their bodies what they choose, particularly when those things are naturally occurring. I find it odd that the same lawmakers that would prevent an individual to smoke marijuana don't have any problem with those same individuals running around and I won't say any problem because we recognize the problem that doctor shopping or some of the opioids have had on American society. But those same individuals who were against medical or recreational marijuana didn't say a lot when the opioid crisis was happening. So I just find that odd. It is not going to happen. Pot for potholes is going nowhere, although we've asked Afton Ben to be on with us to talk about that issue. Blake is next and last up on the Murphy Show on Super Talk. Hello, Blake.
Hey, Matt. So I love your show. Like to listen to it all the time. I drive tow trucks, so always listening to it. I hope you're right. I hope it don't pass. I think it's a absolutely silly thing to even try. I'm glad that they want to try and do something about, if you ever drive 24, all the potholes on 24. But it's silly. There's where do they draw the line on convenience for everybody? You know, you're not going to allow somebody to do opioids. You know, you're not going to allow them to. It's become such a convenient country. There's a line to be drawn on what's convenient to everybody.
Well, I would say, and I appreciate the argument, and we've talked about it since I've been doing talk radio, and that's been a long, long time. As a matter of fact, I just passed my 25th anniversary a week ago. But I would say this, Blake. I do not believe that there's a single person in the state of Tennessee that doesn't smoke marijuana for a lack of an ability to get it. And it's illegal.
Correct.
You know, so it being illegal does not seem to act as a preventative for people getting it if they want to get it. And, you know, so if the argument is that we don't want people to start smoking, and I would suggest that those folks are already smoking it now, but I appreciate the argument against it. I've heard it in the past, and I don't think it's going anywhere. I think that the legislature will be happy to take up the pothole issue without taking up the pot issue. You know what I mean?
Right. Locks are only to keep good people out, not thieves. So I get that.
Well, it goes back to the lack of an ability to. I mean, you can attempt, and Blake, thank you for the call. You can attempt to legislate morality if you want, and you can be punitive in nature as a government, and you can legislate around a lot of things that you do not want people to do. But if people are bound and determined to do something along the lines of smoking marijuana, they're going to do it regardless of its legality or of its illegality. My principled position is simple, that I do not believe in a government that is big enough to tell you what you can do to your body. And that involves, if I really wanted to freak you all out, we could start talking about opioids. I also think that we have allowed the pharmaceutical companies to take over in regard to how we remedy maladies in our systems or how we recreationally enjoy our time. I mean, and I just don't like the idea. You own you, okay? You own you. I don't own you. The government doesn't own you. So why in the world would we allow the government to tell you what you may or may not do to your body? That's my principal point. I know it's a little more nuanced than that, but that's where I'm coming from. And it's a small L libertarian position on that. It's 51 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy for Genesis Diamonds. Ladies and gentlemen, it is February. You probably already knew that. But did you know, if you've not been listening, you might not, that Genesis Diamonds has a great deal for you for Valentine's Day, because February is the month for lovers. At Genesis Diamonds, they're celebrating love. That's their specialty. Maybe it's a simple pendant, or maybe it's an exquisite one of a kind designer ring. Genesis can help you pick out the most memorable and special piece of jewelry for any and all occasions, especially for Valentine's Day. To make it even sweeter, now until Valentine's, whether you spend $399 or $39,000 or $399,000, if you're a baller on a budget, they've got something for you. Or if you have expense accounts, they can help you out as well. Genesis will give you some chocolates, some fresh flowers, and dinner out at no charge. That's right. You'll get flowers from Jenny's Florist, a gift card from Fancy Pants Restaurant, and some chocolates. They don't mess around at Genesis Diamonds. It is literally one-stop shopping when it comes to your Valentine's Day. So join them in Green Hills. Join them at Cool Springs and tell them Matt Murphy sent you. And happy Valentine's Day. Now, quantities are limited. See store for details. Tell them that I sent you to Genesis Diamonds.
The Guaranteed Offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's been a weird one. I felt like it was a Friday when we started this show. And outside of No Friday J, it certainly felt like a Friday by the time we got to the end of the show.
Yeah, it was different.
We got different.
Mm-hmm.
We got different. Jeff, Chris writes in and says, Jeff plainly stated that he is a heterosexual. I guess that's in reference to the caller that wanted to go out with him. But nowadays you can identify, right?
You can do whatever you want, I
suppose it's none of my business. I suppose that's true. 9167 says lobster bisque is the bomb.
Well, maybe they should sign up to go on the date with Jeff.
Well, sure. And 1744 says, and I guess this is in relation to previous super texter who didn't care for the show. Rude, obnoxious, and annoying. Hell, that's why I listen. Well, there you go. Your show today is a lesson learned again. It takes all kinds of people to make up this great nation. Glad you didn't Debbie Downer on the suicide thing after a light night. Important subject, though. Thanks. You know, I hesitate. It's hard to do that. I mean, it's hard to do both, serve, both of those masters, so to speak. But it is a very important subject to get into. And I do want to get into it. You need to take a light touch on that subject. I understand that it is very emotional. It's very emotional for me. I have a personal story that I'll relate to you at some point that involves my mother. And there's a reason why I feel as passionately as I do about that subject matter. But we will, and we'll get into that at some point. Look, for better or for worse, I love every single one of you. And I appreciate every single one of you, and I hope that you appreciate some aspect of the show. And that's what I said to our super text hater. look, I'm sorry I want to keep all of my listeners. Maybe I'll offer you some redeeming quality one of these days. He did respond when I said he said that he knew I didn't have the stones, and I said, well, I have the stones, and then he said that I had the stones when I opened my mouth. I don't. Does that mean? That's supposed to mean that
I'm not sure what that means.
I don't really know what that means either. I know what the music means. It means that, thankfully, we're out of time. So here's the deal. Tomorrow on a First Amendment Freestyle Friday, is Bob Freeman coming on?
I have not heard back yet, but he will be on with us at some point.
But Representative Bob Freeman is going to come on with us to talk about that subject that we just mentioned, very delicate right to die subject, Democrat out of Nashville. Tomorrow on the show, Fry J in the 4 o'clock hour, and at 5:05, the return of Cougar Chow, Mac Maury will make an appearance on the show to defend his lowly Kansas City Chiefs as they take on the Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Duper Bowl. That's it for tonight. Mark Levin's up next. Thank you, each and every one of you. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Until then, have a great evening. So long, everybody.